74%. Chapter 221 Join Dajin and expand the territory. First update. Note. Historical figures will not be written in large numbers, they are just embellishments of dynasties. Then, who is that young man who is confronting Zishan King? Looks so young too. Everyone looked at Guan Yu again, equally terrified. Too young. Compared with Zishan King, it is not bad at all. But obviously, the Lingyun level true meaning that made their heads dangle with sharp blades. It belongs to this person. Could it be possible? This is also a Yuan Wu Tianjin. Whether it is Martial Dao or Shandao. To the sixth big realm, namely Yuan Wu realm and Nascent Soul realm. They are all called heavenly kings. Think here. Everyone's scalp is numb, extremely. It should not be Yuan Wu Tianjin, but their talent is too evil. Before I was promoted to Yuan Wu Tianjin realm, I have already comprehended Lingyun level will. There was a true monarch from the Zifu who spoke. The rest of the people were taken aback for a moment, then nodded. That's right. How could someone in 580 be promoted to the legendary Yuan Wu Tianjin realm at the age of 30? But even so, it was also terrifying to the extreme. Less than Yuan Wu Tianjin realm. I realized the true meaning of the Lingyun class. What kind of monster is this? And such a monster. Two more appeared at once. The name of the sword is alluring. Guan Yu shouted lightly. His voice is also full of sharpness at the moment. Next moment, he suddenly turned into a green light, and charged straight towards Li Ziran. On the void, it's like a flash of green lightning. An azure dragon wrapped around him, and a huge cyan-long knife several tens of feet appeared behind him. The void is completely distorted, the airflow is fragmented, and the wind is sweeping. That is the true meaning of the Lingyun class manifested in substance. And an even more terrifying sword glow. But it appeared in Guan Yu's hand. The blade glowed across the sky, as if the entire Lengyu spirit city was about to be cut in half. Even if it's miles away. Those purple mansion true monarchs, kings of the three soul realm. There is also a feeling of being cut in two. With this knife alone, you can be said to be invincible outside of my Dajin. Li Ziran sighed in admiration. This strength. Don't even say outside Dajin. It is within their greatness. Except for them and everyone in the Li family. Only the four demon kings, Li Ziye, Liu Shen, Wai Yao, and Qinglian, can win. Certainly, 12 gold people are not counted. After all, this is not a living thing, but exotic treasure. And Zhang Song, the head of the First Legion, is at most a brother. Such strength, not too weak for him. 10 years. As the god's mansion in his body became more and more real. The benefits brought to him are extremely astonishing. The biggest advantage, it is to let his spiritual body evolve into a divine body. Naturally divine, coupled with the superb level, it has completed another transformation. The Baoshan seal that has reached the king rank level. King rank martial arts, that was cultivated by the king of the three soul realm. But the strongest is king rank top grade. King rank. This has broken the limit and surpassed the mundane. Comparable to the top grade martial arts of the heavenly monarch. So, now his growth rate has reached 9.5 times of the terrifying extreme. Basic attack power. It also reached the level of 3000 caddies. If it is placed in mortal domain, it can easily break the limit of heaven and earth, and let the mortal realm be promoted to the spiritual realm. But breaking mortal realm, Jinling realm, it must be a creature that was born and raised in that spiritual realm. Creatures going to the outside world will only be suppressed, but they cannot break through the domain restrictions. Boom. His eyes flashed, and he punched out. He used all his strength for this punch. After all, Guan Yu is extremely powerful. With one blow, Wei almost surpassed the Li of two mountains. It will not be weaker than the normal 5th stage true monarch and king of 5 changes. Moment. A lifelike Dayu appeared in the sky. Dayu is hundreds of feet high, with monkeys singing and tigers roaring, flowing water and waterfalls, towering ancient trees. There is also a breath of sacred soaring into the sky. That aura carried a terrifying power that shook people's hearts. The entire Lengyueling city, all practitioners feel that their minds are suppressed, and their thinking is much slower. This is the horror of Baoshanyan today. What a strong fist technique. Guan Yu Danfang's eyes were full of astonishing sword light. Bang! The terrifying green sword light collided with the oppressive Dayu in the void. Two extremely terrifying forces erupted. The entire Lengyu spirit city lit up with light, that is the opening of the formation. But the light of formation is also flickering rapidly. It seems that it will be destroyed by the aftermath of the collision between the two at any time. Seeing such a horrific attack, the true monarchs and kings of the three-soul realm of the Purple Mansion below all swallowed their saliva, their faces full of horror and awe. Too strong. Far beyond their imagination. Boom, boom, boom. A streak of green knife lights startled the sky. Giant mountains disappeared and appeared again. The two figures turned into two rays of light on the sky, crazy children. At the gate of the palace, Li Yonggan and Li Yongxuan clasped their small hands tightly, looked up excitedly. Daddy is so strong. How could he hit such a big mountain with one punch? And the guy on the other side is so strong. It actually cut out such a beautiful knife light. Both of them were very excited. Looking forward to being as strong as my father in the future. Han Xiaoer also held hands tightly, a little nervous. Although she knows her husband's strength. But now it seems. The young man named Guan Yu on the opposite side is also very strong. Put it in the past. That is the existence of the invincible hand in the world. Finally won. After a while, in the eyes of Li Ziran, an astonishing divine light burst out in a daze. His black hair was flying, and the power in his hand rose again in an instant. This is the point where he has raised his true meaning to Lingyun level. Suddenly, Guan Yu, who was already suppressed by him, couldn't hold back any longer, and was instantly sent flying, bleeding from the corner of his mouth. There was a touch of shock in Danfang's eyes. She looked at Li Ziran in disbelief and said, "You actually comprehended the true meaning of Shaocheng realm's Lingyun level. To his realm, every step forward with true meaning is extremely difficult. It is necessary to upgrade the true meaning from Lingyun level initiation to Lingyun level Shaocheng. Even with his astonishing talent for swordsmanship. I also feel that in the next 5 years, I am afraid that there is little hope. But the other party, about his age, but he has already comprehended the true meaning of Shaocheng realm's Lingyun level. And he can see it. The other party should not have stepped into the three-soul realm yet. Cultivation base is lower than yourself. Strength is stronger than yourself. Although he is proud, he also has to admire him. 4.1 inches achieved not so long ago. Li Ziran smiled. In fact, 2 years ago, he reached the Lingyun level. I lost. I'm willing to bet and admit defeat. I, Guan Yu, will join Dajin from today on. Guan Yu put away the long knife, and said solemnly without being depressed. Ha ha, welcome Brother Guan to join. I will recommend Brother Guan for the position of Legion Commander. Li Ziran was delighted and smiled. There was also a hint of a smile on Li Yu's face. Guan Yu and Zhang Song are there. When the Dajin dynasty expanded its borders, there will be a real strong man. Instead of doing anything, let his children and grandchildren go out. After all, his descendants still need to devote more time to practice. Strive for an early day. Raise the cultivation base from 9 cycles Divine Palace Realm, to the 4th Realm, 7 Soul Realm. 74%. Chapter 222 The Great Master comes out, and the Spirit Realm is wiped out. Second more. 2 months later. Dajin's troops are divided into 2 groups. Zhang Song led the 1st army to the north to attack the Jingxiu dynasty. Guan Yu led the 3rd army westward to attack the Dali dynasty. For a moment, the entire 9 true spirit realm seemed to be detonated. The clouds of war completely enveloped the Dali dynasty and the Jingxiu dynasty. The practitioners of these 2 dynasties were all panicked, and quickly closed the mountain gates to restrain their disciples. They dare not stand in front of Dajin at all. Anyway, they are sects. Whoever rules this world has little to do with them. Dajin wants to unify the spiritual domain, which is a premonition that many people have long had. After all, Dajin is too strong. For 10 years, there have been too many Purple Mansion true monarchs and kings of the Three Souls realm. There are already strong people in the territory of Dajin. It is far from being comparable to the past Lang Yu dynasty. Splendid dynasty. Splendid spirit city. This is the capital of Jingxiu dynasty. Taking Jingxiu is the name of the country, Jingxiu dynasty has lived up to this name. The entire splendid dynasty, everywhere is prosperous, and the business atmosphere is much stronger than that of the past Lang Yu dynasty. But at this time, 21. In the past, there was a lot of traffic, cultivators were like clouds, and practitioners were like rain. But depressed, only less than a third of the practitioner cultivators in the past are walking on the street. And most of them are in a hurry. The entire spirit city was activated with a protective array. No entry. Not allowed out. The attics also lit up dazzling auras, rising into the sky, replenishing the power of the formation. Royal Palace Great Hall. Jinxiu Renwang's face is as sinking as water, and he sits on a high dragon chair. The officials below all looked dignified and worried. There are even some courtiers. His complexion is turning pale. 10 years have passed. Dajin finally sent troops to attack. 10 years ago, they thought that after Dajin took down the Lengyu dynasty, he would attack directly. But did not expect. Dajin was silent for 10 years. And these 10 years, Dajin, the dynasty that came out of mortal realm. Right under their noses, it began to expand rapidly, annexing the heritage of the Leng dynasty bit by bit. They can only watch. Several times tried to send strong men to make trouble for Dajin. But it's all so easy. He was discovered by Dajin, and then killed. Quote exclamation mark quote. Sudden, a young general came rushing from the outside world and knelt on the ground on one knee. I report to my king, I have found out that Zhang Song, who led the army, was born in the Dajin spiritual realm, and is one of the longest-serving courtiers of the Dajin king. The strength is suspected to have reached the realm of the king, and there are 100,000 troops under his command, all of which are high-rank martial masters. This statement fell. Immediately, many courtiers in the Great Hall gasped, their faces full of shock. 100,000 high-rank martial master. This is too scary. Their splendid dynasty has a main battle army of 500,000. But all of them are just low-level martial masters. 500,000 low-level martial master. I'm afraid it can't compare to a 50,000 high-rank martial master. But the other party has 100,000. Is this the terrifying strength that Dajin has accumulated in 10 years? How did they do that? How to train 100,000 high-rank martial masters? Even if the king of splendid embroidery. The pupils also shrank. Too strong. One shot is 100,000 high-rank martial master. And, the young general swallowed his saliva, and looked at the king above. Then Zhang Song and the 7 generals under his command all used Jiaolong as their mounts. The spies came to report that the dragons they sat down should all be adult dragons. The voice fell. The entire Great Hall fell into dead silence. A total of 8 adult dragons. Everyone had an unbelievable look in their eyes. Throughout the history of 9 True Spirit Realm, flood dragons only appeared 3 times. The dragons that appeared 3 times were extremely powerful, comparable to the peak powerhouse in the world. And now, but there are 8 at once. If it is comparable to the peak powerhouse in the world. Everyone's scalp was numb, and they didn't dare to think about it. King Jinxiu held his hands tightly, his face was icy cold. His heart was chilling. If it wasn't for his strong willpower and forcible control, his body might tremble. How could it be so outrageous? 100,000 high-rank martial master. 8 adult dragons. How did Dajin do it? Could it be that he took out the whole dragon's nest? For a while, including Jinxiu Renwang, the highest levels of these splendid dynasty all felt hopeless. The strength gap is too great. Just 1 legion. Let them all feel hopeless. What is the strength of the other army that attacked the Dali dynasty? After a long time, as a veteran of the 3 dynasties, the national teacher spoke out. His voice fell, and everyone came back to their senses. All eyes turned to the young general in the middle. They also want to know. Did Dajin put the strongest power on them? And the Dali dynasty is just a check. If so, maybe they can join forces with the Dali dynasty. We are uniting those top sects and aristocratic families. In this way, there is no power to fight. Think here. There was anticipation in everyone's eyes. That legion. The young general glanced at everyone, with bitterness on his face. The strength is comparable to that of the first army led by Zhang Song. It is also a 100,000 high-rank martial master, and there are 7 generals under his command. Except that Guano 47U is the new commander-in-chief, and he didn't ride a Jiaolong. The remaining 7 generals all use adult dragons as their mounts. His voice is not loud, but hearing it in everyone's ears, many people couldn't stand still and their bodies were wobbly. His face was full of unbelievable and unimaginable colors. How can it be? Dajin soldiers are divided into 2 groups, 2 legions. Are all so scary. Unite Yi family, Xiao family, Tu family, Yu family, Wuhua Valley, Yanyu sect. Tell them the reason why the lips are dead and the teeth are cold. The sect family in Dajin territory wants to hand over all the meat fields. The law of Dajin does not allow the people to have any meat fields. Do they want to accept such a rule? If you don't want to, Let's fight with Jinxiu and Dajin. Gathering all our strength, we may not be able to wipe out Dajana's first army. King Jinxiu took a deep breath and looked at the ministers with a firm and cold voice. There is more confidence. It seems that as long as they unite many forces, they will be able to defeat the big one. Yes, all the ministers were shocked. Hope and firmness appeared on their faces, and they saluted deeply. But the next day, there are hundreds of courtiers. He secretly took his family to protect the courtyard and escaped from Jinxiu Lingchang. Obviously, it's because they no longer have any confidence in the splendid dynasty. 75%. Chapter 223 The Heavenly King arrives. Third change. And in the Dali dynasty. But it was another scene. The king of Dali and his ministers were accompanying several distinguished guests to watch the song and dance. A peerless beauty dressed in tulle, with a sweet smile and a light dance, is like a nine heavens fairy descending to the mortal world. Ha ha, I offer a toast to the three of you. Dali Ren Wang laughed and toasted, and scattered towards the three frontmost people on both sides. He was very happy, although Dajin is coming aggressively. But with the help of these three parties, even Dajin will return home in defeat. They will even counterattack Dajin, and they will go out of the nine true spirit realm. Wang Li is being polite. Left first position. Sitting was an old man with snow-white hair, with a calm expression, and smiled softly. The clothes on his body are extremely luxurious and exquisite. There is a round of imprints of the rising sun on it. This is the sign of Sun Chaser. Obviously, this old man is the most powerful force in the third stage spiritual realm, and a strong man of the Sun Chaser sect. Li Wangqi, right first position. It was a middle-aged man, who raised his glass with a smile, and bumped into Dali Ren Wang from the air. This man has a graceful temperament and a kind of majesty. Dressed in a blue official uniform, the momentum is extremely strong. There is an ancient, Chen, character on the chest. According to legend, this is a spiritual text. Has incredible power. Too bad no one knows how to use it. In other words, at the spiritual level, no one knows how to use it. Please, Prince Li. Beside him, it was an old man with a hooked nose, with a gloomy complexion and a gloomy temperament. He was dressed in a black robe, and in the center of the robe was a condor soaring through the nine heavens with its wings fluttering. These two, it was the powerhouses of the Chen dynasty and the Shenying dynasty who jointly attacked the Dajin Lingyu 10 years ago. That time, the two parties can be said to have tried their best. Only the true monarch of the Purple Mansion and the king of the Three Souls realm. More than 100 statues were dispatched. Among them, there are also 3 peak powerhouses. There's even a 4th stage true monarch in arms. If this kind of strength attacked the 9 true spirit realm 10 years ago. Only when all the forces join forces can it be blocked. Available in Dajin Lingyu. But they were all beheaded by Li Yu. Just like the battle over Lengyueling City. One knife down, half of the powerhouses in the entire spiritual realm withered. A total of 400,000 martial master level expeditionary troops. He was blocked by Dajin and arrested for mining. They are still in the mining area. The news has not been sent back to Zhenggu Lingyu. Li Yu had already descended like a demon god. Directly behead the Dachan man Wang Shengsheng in the capital of the Dachan king. Then transferred to the Condor dynasty. In front of countless people, the Eagle King was split into 2 halves. This is the way to go. At that time, Da Zhen hadn't been able to digest the ancient spiritual domain of Zhen. So he just beheaded the kings of the 2 dynasties and shocked the world. And now 10 years have passed. Whether it is the Great Chen dynasty or the Condor dynasty. Everyone felt the crisis, so I plan to travel again. Certainly, this time they found Sun Chaser. Because of chasing the sun to teach Form 1. An earth-shattering powerhouse has descended. That is the Yuanwu true monarch from the distant Great Territory. The legendary Yuanwu true monarch descends. It directly caused a sensation in the entire sun-chasing sect. Even the leader of the sun-chasing sect didn't think of it at all. The great true god Yan Mo actually sent a Yuanwu true monarch. This is the legendary powerhouse. Far beyond the spiritual realm. The strength is so terrifying that it is unimaginable. The news spread accordingly. Before the Condor dynasty and the Great Chen dynasty had the idea of competing in other spiritual domains, naturally there were many spies in each domain. Message back. The new Shenying king and Da Chen king were all shocked. But the 2 of them understood in a blink of an eye. Who is the enemy of the Sun Chaser sect? Dajin dynasty. The arrival of this Yuanwu true monarch is to deal with the Dajin dynasty. The 2 together. I thought it was a great opportunity. After the Yuanwu true monarch stepped on Dajin, he would leave. After all, Ling Yu will suppress Yuanwu true monarch's cultivation base. Any existence at this level would definitely not want to stay in the spiritual domain for a long time. So they went straight to chasing the sun. Together we must destroy the Dajin dynasty. Haha. _. With everyone's help this time, Dajin will surely be leveled. Daliren Wang put down his wine glass and laughed loudly. He still looked at the old man chasing the sun, with a hint of awe in his eyes. Dare to ask the leader, where is that senior? Hear the question. The two people from the Great Chen dynasty and the Shenying dynasty also looked at it quickly, with awe-inspiring expressions. After all, that is the legendary Yuanwu Tianjin. And although they are all in one spiritual domain, they are called peak powerhouses. Can be far away from Yuanwu Tianjin. It's too far. That weight exists. One finger can kill them directly. Take a breath. It can destroy a city. Stomp. Can level a mountain. The terror of might. Far beyond their imagination. Chu Senior and a few disciples are in Wangduchen. Sun-chasing sect leader, Feng Lan, said with a smile. He was very satisfied with the expressions of several people. He even wanted that senior Chu to help him chase after the Sun sect to unify the surrounding spiritual domains after he conquered the Dajin dynasty. But the idea has just been floated. He was mercilessly rejected by the other party. He can only extinguish this thought. From this, he calculated how to let him chase after the sun to maximize his benefits in the matter of leveling Dajin. Just in the capital, why don't you invite the senior to live in the palace for a few days? Daliren Wang was surprised and quickly suggested. Senior likes to be quiet. Feng Lan refused. Joke. How could he let King Dali have contact with that senior? Then please wait for me to say hello to senior. Daliren Wang felt a little regretful in his heart, but he didn't show anything on his face, and said with a smile. Nature. Feng Lan also agreed with a smile. Then he paused, his smile restrained, and he looked at several people. Destroy the Dajunjun spiritual realm, and I will chase after you teach to occupy 80% of the territory. Quote. Do you have any comments? No. Daliren Wang and the others shook their heads. Very good. Then let's discuss how to divide the benefits after the collapse of the Dajin dynasty. Feng Lan said with satisfaction. Dajin Ling Yu. Yangdu. Li Yu walked out of the room. Bring along 5 maids, Aking, Qinglian, Zishuan True Monarch, Dong Qingqing, and Bai Qingling. Directly through the teleportation circle. Go to 9 True Spirit Realm. During the past 10 years, Dajin teleportation circles have been established in various important cities. However, it is not open to ordinary people. Only Dajin officials can enjoy it. It is also because of the teleportation circle. Only then did the court control the territory of the 9 True Spiritual Realm extremely well. It is not much different from Dajin Ling Yu. 10 years down. It's not that Dajin hasn't gone out before. Dozens of mortal realms around were conquered and ruled by Dajin. Those who are willing to move here will all move here. Therefore, Dajin Ling Yu has changed greatly from 10 years ago. The strange beasts and demonic beasts in the entire spiritual domain have also been eliminated long ago. A large number, good 7, of cities have been newly built today. This is the first time that other dynasties have been formally dealt with, so we should go and see. Li Yu came out from the teleportation circle, whispering in her heart. His eyes looked north, looked at the west again. In the end, I decided to go north to see the first army under the command of Zhang Song. The 4 major armies of the Dajin dynasty. Each legion is 100,000 high-rank martial master. This is the foundation of Dajin in the past 10 years. 100,000 high-rank martial master. Conform to heavenly rank mid-rank army souls. Heavenly rank middle-grade army soul. Comparable to 6th stage true monarch or 6th stage king. However, Zhang Song has already stepped into the realm of kings, and the 3rd legion has replaced Guan Yu. These 2 legions. Instead, we can add another 50,000 soldiers to directly form a heavenly rank high-rank army soul. He looked expectantly. Heavenly rank high-grade army soul. This is almost invincible in the spiritual domain. Comparable or even better than 9th stage true monarch and 9 transformation king. If there is such a legion in town, Dajin can truly sweep away all spiritual pregnancies. Even if nascent soul true monarch and Yuanwu true monarch descend. It may not be impossible to suppress. 75%. Chapter 224 Tianjin arrives, let's fight. First update. But Li Yu is just going north. but suddenly stopped in place, looking at the west side of Leng Yueling City with a little surprise. Master, what's the matter? Qinglian wondered. The rest of the people also showed doubts. Of the 5, Qinglian cultivation base is the strongest, and has reached the realm of the 4 transformation kings. And the strength is even more astonishing, far surpassing realm. After all, this is the rare treasure of heaven and earth, good fortune Qinglian, becoming a demon. In the legends, in ancient times, there was also the good fortune Qinglian who became a demon. That existence was invincible in the world, suppressed the world, and directly became a generation of great emperor, sweeping the world. He is honored as Emperor Qing by all races in the world. As for Qinglian, she had a trace of that great emperor's demeanor when she was young. The other 4 girls, Zixuan True Monarch and Dong Qingqing. Cultivation base has also improved a lot. Zixuan True Monarch is already the 4th stage True Monarch, and Dong Qingqing is also the king of the 4 stages. But although Qinglian and Qinglian belong to the same rank, but the strength is not comparable to Dharma phase, the difference between heaven and earth. As for the maids Ah Qing and Bai Qingling, the cultivation base is the lowest, and now one has just stepped into the gold core realm, and the other is the 7th soul realm 5-layer realm. There is 070 a Yuanwu Tianjin coming. Li Yu spoke out slowly, her eyes were strange. He can feel, from the west, there is a faint but extremely powerful aura approaching. This breath harmonizes with the sky and the earth, shines with the sun and the moon, and seems to be integrated with the void. There is also an astonishing and terrifying true meaning of martial Tao faintly permeating, tearing the sky apart. What is Yuanwu realm? Martial Tao practice. First body refining, then Dantian, then condense divine palace, then gather 7 souls, and then reverse 3 souls. Here are the first 5 realms. And Yuanwu is the 6th realm of martial Tao. Equivalent to a mortal's 6th realm nascent soul. Yuanwu's, Yuan, character. It is the original meaning. Yuanwu realm. It is necessary to condense the martial Tao seeds in the Dantian divine palace. Martial Tao seeds gather the practitioner's true essence, martial Tao's true meaning, the practitioner's 7 souls, and the practitioner's 3 souls. It is a spiritual gathering of self-union, similar to Sendo nascent soul. The practitioner's true essence is condensed by the martial Tao seed. Will become extremely scary. It carries the power of the practitioner's true meaning, 7 souls, and CBBI, 3 souls. The martial Tao seed grows 9 times. After 9 times, the true essence has completely transformed and turned into divine power. So after Yuanwu Tianjin, it is equivalent to the 7th great realm God transformation realm venerable of immortal. Divine power realm venerable. It was all these 10 years, he knew it from the World Chat channel. Have to say, most of the traversers have supernatural power. The world is far and wide. The fortunes of some traversers in the past 10 years are also quite amazing. There are even several, has crossed the spiritual realm and stepped into the great realm. Martial Tao realm he only knew Yuanwu realm before. After Yuanwu realm, there is no record in Tianjian Mountain, and there is no record in the collection of the original Leng Yu dynasty. If it wasn't for a traveler who told him, he probably won't be able to understand it in a short time. Certainly, it doesn't matter if you know it or not. Yuanwu Tianjin, Qinglian was stunned. The rest of the girls were also stunned. They all know what a terrifying realm Yuanwu Tianjin is. That is an existence far surpassing the king of the 3-soul realm. In the history of 9 true spirit realm, a terrifying existence that has never appeared before. Qinglian, you go and meet her. A smile appeared on Li Yu's face, and ordered. Quote. Qinglian was a little nervous. After all, that is the legendary Yuanwu Tianjin. Can you handle it yourself? Go. In this spiritual realm, Yuanwu Tianjin can only display the ultimate strength of the 9 transformations king. Your strength may not necessarily be weaker than the opponent. Li Yu said. Yes. Qinglian heaved a sigh of relief. Is she just a king? She suddenly had some confidence in her heart. After nodding, she headed straight for the West City Gate. Li Yu waved lightly, followed with a few people. Master, it's inconceivable that a master of the spiritual domain can be found in this remote place. Mountain Trail. A group of 4 walked slowly. In the front is an old Taoist, with white hair and a childlike face, with an indifferent complexion. Behind him were 3 young men, 2 men and 1 woman. The one who spoke at this time. It was the woman standing on the far right, with a bit of disbelief in her eyes. All souls in the world have good fortune. In such a remote place, the spirit power is weak, and the practice is gone. But if you can rise up in such a place, you will be like a fish in water when you reach the big domain. The old man said lightly. There are a lot of strange snow-white patterns on the edge of his eyes. It made him look a little weird. The body does not appear burly, nor does it appear majestic. Looks more like a cultivator than a practitioner. Grand Master asked Master to come and get rid of the Lord of the spiritual realm. Could it be that he was worried? Another young man rolled his eyes and said suddenly, the matter of your Grand Master is also something you can talk about. The old man's face turned cold, and his embarrassing eyes swept across coldly. The young man shuddered, his face turned pale, and he dared not speak any more. Bringing you here this time, I also hope that you can take a look at the arrogance of this spiritual realm. Although the strength of cultivation base is far inferior to yours, it also has merits. Traveling thousands of miles and meeting thousands of people are the essentials of my generation's practice. The old man didn't look at the young man again, and continued to speak. The three young men were somewhat disapproving. These days. They also met some so-called abyssal talents in Dali King's capital. But each cultivation base is nothing more than divine palace realm. Can this also be called arrogance? And the increase is not strong. Martial Dao's true intentions are so-so, and none of the spirit bodies can be seen. It's just a group of chickens and dogs. Master really thinks highly of those people. Master, I heard that in the Lengyu Lingcheng ahead, there is the number 1 Qianyuan list 10 years ago, the Zishan king of the Dajin dynasty. It's better for me to fight with him. If he can block my sword, he can be called a genius. The female disciple who spoke first smiled softly. Although there was not much arrogance on the face, the meaning of the words was too proud. They are the pride of the great territory. What is the so-called number 1 in the mere spiritual realm? 75%. Chapter 225 Legend of the Great Emperor, Sword slays the heavenly monarch. Second more. Don't underestimate the people of the world. The great emperor back then, when he was young, was invincible in the world and defeated all the arrogance. You should also know that the great emperor came out of mortal realm and fought his way out. The old Taoist shook his head and warned lightly. His face was calm, without any waves, as if these few words. It's just a routine duty of being a master. Master is talking about the legendary great emperor who subdued demons. The great emperor of Fumo is naturally the only one in the ages, but since the ages, mortal realm has only produced such a great emperor. The female disciple smiled coquettishly, but still didn't take it seriously. Fumo the great emperor is a legendary existence. There are even legends. When this great emperor was young, he had visited the great domain where they were located and leveled several divine transformation orthodoxy. It is said that when the great emperor was my age, he could already be said to be invincible in the spiritual realm. Another disciple showed fanaticism in his eyes, and said, Ling Yu is invincible. That is at least the strength of the 9 Changes King's limit level. I'm afraid their master, the dignified Yuan Wu Tianjin. In the spiritual realm, they may not be the opponent of the great emperor when he was young. Just thinking about it makes them feel incredible. 30 or so, then you can be called invincible in the spiritual realm. And they can be regarded as the pride of heaven in the great domain. But now in his 30s, with a cultivation base in his body, he is still hovering on the 5th and 6th floors of the 7 soul realm. How big is the difference? A whole big realm has more than one gap. The great emperor suppressed 9 heavens, swept all directions, and became invincible in the world. Of course, we cannot compare. But in this small spiritual realm, the third disciple shook his head, looked at the Lengyu Lingcheng that had appeared in front of him, and said with a faint smile. We are contemporary invincible. My contemporaries, I can suppress them all with one finger. He spoke with confidence and arrogance. In the Dali dynasty. He has also seen the so-called abyss ranking Tianzhao 10 years ago. All are still in the divine palace realm. There is only one who has just been promoted to the 7 soul realm, and this is already the top. But this top notch, it was too far behind him. He can kill the opponent with a single strike of the sword. That's why he didn't think that this small spiritual realm could have any arrogance. The old man didn't speak any more. He looked indifferent, looking at the Lengyu Lingcheng in front of him, expressionless. Although the words of the apprentices are not pleasant. But it is true. A mere spiritual realm. What kind of arrogance can there be? What can be strong? Even the lord of the spiritual realm. Most of it is just a coincidence. For example, if you get heavenly and mortal treasures, your physical strength will skyrocket after taking it. It's not like he hasn't seen the lord of the spiritual realm. the master of the spiritual domain who obtained the achievement of heavenly and mortal treasures. Not worth much, and in his opinion, the master of the spiritual domain of the Dajan dynasty is probably the same. Otherwise, how could it be possible to break through the mortal domain and become the master of the spiritual domain? Even in their large domain, there are some divine transformation orthodoxy and divine power sect. It is difficult to cultivate a real master of the spiritual realm even if we put all our strength into cultivation. But at this moment, several sword rays came vertically and horizontally from a distance. Sword chi is sharp, cutting the air and forming a violent gust of wind. One of the sword rays. Suddenly there was a surprised voice. Then sword ray stopped. It was a slim young girl who looked like she was in her 20s. But his eyes were cold. Eyebrows are also cold. 3,000 blue colors hang down, and their roots are like swords, with sharp edges. Standing in the air, the whole person is like a sword. A sword that can pierce everything. A simple white battle skirt, full of heroism. Junior sister, what's wrong? Beside, Tong Sanjian also stopped, and said with some doubts. There is a Yuan Wu Tianjin over there. Li Zai's words were concise and to the point. His eyes were always looking at the old Taoist several miles below. Yuan Wu Tianjin. Tong Sanjian suddenly froze. He had some doubts, whether there was something wrong with On's ears. Otherwise, how could I hear these 4 words from my junior sister? That is a legendary existence. How could it be here? In the history of their 9 true spirit realm. Don't talk about Yuan Wu Tianjin. Even the king of 6 transformations has never been born. They were at the peak of Tianjian Mountain. It's just that there is a 5-change king who dominates an era. He followed Li Zai's gaze and looked at the old Taoists a few miles away, and his whole body was covered in cold sweat. Yuan Wu Tianjin appears here. Are you going to deal with Dajan? He didn't doubt Li Zai's words. Since Li Ziye said that he was Yuan Wu Tianjin, then the other party must be the genuine Yuan Wu Tianjin. The rest of the heavenly sword mountain elder. Also the scalp is numb and the heart is hairy. And suddenly felt a suffocating pressure. The legendary Yuan Wu Tianjin. Stand right in front of them. At this time, the old man also looked up, and his eyes met Li's eyes. Immediately, the void shook, and 2 terrifying wills collided there. Asking for flowers. Lingyun class true intention. The old man shrank his pupils, and his plain complexion finally changed. He looked at Li Ziye in shock. I felt absurd in my heart. He is actually within this spiritual domain. Met the true meaning of the Lingyun class. Even if it is within their large domain. Almost only Yuan Wu Tianjin can comprehend the true meaning of Lingyun level. Under Yuan Wu Tianjin, those who can comprehend the true meaning of the Lingyun class are the true peerless arrogance. There are not many in one era. Lingyun class true intention. The disciples behind him stared wide-eyed, looking at Li Ziye in disbelief. Especially when Li Ziye looked much younger than them. It's even more incredible. This little spiritual domain. Is there really a peerless arrogance? 0. And is it the kind of peerless arrogance who has comprehended the true meaning of the Lingyun class? Such a peerless arrogance. In their domain, they are all existences that they need to look up to. They are not qualified to say a word in front of those waiting for heavenly sword. And now, they are in this spiritual realm. Have you seen such a peerless pride? Call. Li Zai's body flashed, turning into a sword ray and appearing 100 meters away from the old man. Her face was indifferent, and only the old man was in her eyes. Are you here to trouble Dajan? The voice was as cold as a long sword in the moon, full of sharpness and coldness. I never imagined that in this spiritual realm, I would meet someone like you. At such an age, one can comprehend the true meaning of the Lingyun class. Ha ha ha, it's God's blessing. Little girl, how about you worshipping me as your teacher? I am Yuan Wu Tianjin, and I come from a great domain of divine power and Taoism, and I can teach you the supreme method. The old Taoist's eyes became hot, and he stared at Li Ziye. He was excited. Such an unrivaled arrogance, unexpectedly met by him. What luck. Receive this Tianjiao under initiation. After returning, he will definitely be rewarded by the master. You are not qualified, Li Ziye said indifferently. The voice fell. It seemed that 2 sword shadows rushed out of her eyes. Clang. A shocking sword sound resounded through the world. The clouds in the sky were instantly shattered. A terrifying true meaning of the way of the sword soared into the sky, like a divine sword piercing the ground. Boom. Cotyledon drew his sword out of its sheath, and slashed at the old Taoist with a single blow. Sword ray is unprecedentedly sharp and fierce. as if to split the whole world into two halves with one sword. 76%. Chapter 226. A plant of grass cuts the sun and the moon star. Third change. The old man's pupils shrank instantly. Shock appeared on his face again. This time it didn't just feel ridiculous. It also feels like a dream. The strength of this sword has completely reached the 9 changes king level. So young, not only comprehend the true meaning of Lingyun level. The strength of a body has reached the level of the king of 9 changes. What kind of monster is this? In their great domain, there is no such terrifying evildoer. His heart was full of shock and inconceivable. There was no hesitation in the movement of the hands. He also drew his sword out of its sheath. Sword ray is like running water, and like a river of heaven, sweeping out mightily. The whole sky seemed to become moist. It was as if a river really flowed out to wash away the world. Boom! A shocking roar sounded. The terrifying aftermath instantly destroyed the land of tens of miles around Fang, 307. The vegetation exploded, the boulders were turned into powder, and even a small hill not far away was flattened by sword chi, and the smoke and dust shot up into the sky. The veteran disciples all flew out, vomiting blood. Their faces were full of horror and disbelief. The scalp is numb until it explodes. Too horrible. This is a king of 9 changes. In this spiritual domain, you can fight with the master. But how is this possible? The age of the other party looks younger than them. How could it be the king of 9 transformations? Under the heavens, how could there be such an unimaginable monster? Almost instantly, several people remembered the great emperor they talked about before. Voldemort when the great emperor was young. Invincible spirit realm. And the woman in front of her. Several people were terrified in their hearts. Junior Great Emperor. Did they run into a legendary boy, the Great Emperor? Think here. Their faces were all pale. Boom boom boom. Li Ziyi showed no expression on his face, and slashed out with one sword after another. She performed the Sao Zi Jian Ju. It was her own comprehension. This grass word sword formula. For 10 years, the grade has been extremely high. She is confident that in the future, her cultivation base will improve, and her Sao Zi Jian Ju will continue to improve. It must be like the legendary Great Emperor. A blade of grass cuts down the sun and the moon star. And on the other side, the old man kept drawing his sword. Both of them are extremely fast. Completely turned into 2 sword rays, a crazy child in the air. The aftermath swept across, and it was a mess for tens of miles around. Even every time the sword ray collides, there will be terrifying ripples rushing out, setting off an astonishing gust of wind. The sky is full of sword chi. That was the sword chi left after the 2 collided. The more you fight, the more frightened the old Dao Hard was. His eyes were full of disbelief. So strong. Even if he is a Yuan Wu Tianjin, he is in this spiritual realm. It doesn't even have much of an advantage. And he can feel the opponent is absorbing his kendo. The strength is also getting stronger. What kind of evil talent is this? It is simply the legendary Great Emperor, or the strongest enemy in the life of the Great Emperor. He groaned inwardly. This small spiritual realm. How could such an unbelievable monstrosity appear? Boom boom boom. Shocking collisions kept ringing. The 2 sword rays are so fast that people can't see clearly, and one breath is dozens of collisions. Far in the air, Tong Sanjian stared wide-eyed and opened his mouth, staring blankly. Is this my little junior sister? Only 10 years. Has it become this scary? He thinks. If you go up by yourself, I'm afraid that even the aftermath can't stop it, and it will be pierced directly by the scattered sword chi. Too strong. It was so strong that he couldn't imagine it. He still remembers it now. 10 years ago, the little junior sister who took his apprentice on his behalf, even though she is still young, has the strength of a king. But at that time, it was only the strength of an ordinary king. And now, but he is fighting with a legendary Yuan Wu Tianjin. Not only him, the rest of the elders in Tianjian Mountain also had dull faces, with their mouths wide open, full of disbelief. Too exaggerated, to be able to fight against a legendary Yuan Wu Tianjin without losing the wind. In the air on the other side, Li Yu and Qinglian were also watching the battle. In fact, when Li Ziyi had just fought against the old Taoist, a few people from Li Yu arrived. To be honest, Li Yu was also surprised. Li Ziyi actually appeared here. However, I thought that Dazhen's army would be divided into 2 groups, the Jingxiu dynasty in the north, and the Dali dynasty in the west. He will understand. Li Ziyi must have brought a few people from Tianjin Mountain to help out. It just so happened. I ran into that Yuan Wu Tianjin. Cotyledon little sister is really strong. Qinglian was a little surprised. As a peerless wood demon of the same first rank, she has the best relationship with Li Ziyi. Although one of the two is cold and the other is gentle. But they are all pure in character. Occasionally, the two would live together in the same courtyard for several days. But every time it was Qinglian who spoke, and Li Ziyi just practiced the sword and listened at the same time. Almost never interjects, and rarely speaks. The strange thing is, the two seemed to enjoy the atmosphere. As for the other Wai Yao, who was of a similar level to them. But the relationship with the two women is average. Wai Yao has the ability to control hundreds of ghosts, and there are 12 zodiac ghosts under his command. The personality is changeable, and cold, and even more bloodthirsty. Completely different from the two women. She was born for the sword. Ah Qing spoke. She watched intently. In fact, since she practiced, talent is also surprisingly good. And also very fond of swordsmanship. 10 years. He went straight to Gold Core Realm from hardly any practice. Of course, Li Yu's help is indispensable, and the 10-fold acceleration of the elite training camp is also indispensable. 10 years down. Also has a good relationship with Li Ziyi. In the past few years, I have also been pondering a set of sword technique. But she is a cultivator, and what she is thinking about is fencing. Let Li Yu name her. Li Yu didn't know what she thought of at the time, so she named it Yu Nu Sword Technique. After half a quarter of an hour, Li Ziyi has already gained the upper hand from a slight disadvantage, and has reached the level of riding a veteran. This means that her arrow power has improved a bit. Qinglian, go help me. 3.8. Since Yuan Wu Tianjin has come, he will stay here forever. Li Yu found out that Li Ziyi would not improve much, so she ordered her directly. He also had no intention of capturing the opponent. Such an existence. Torture is unrealistic. How to arrest and imprison is another problem. It's better to kill it directly, and it's done once and for all. Anyway, in this spiritual realm, even if the divine transformation venerable descends in person, he dares to kill the gods directly. Yes. Qinglian nodded. A cyan lotus platform appeared under her feet in an instant. Now it is no longer a third-rank lotus stand, but a fourth-rank lotus stand. A ray of light enveloped her. Gently raise your hand. A lotus leaf flew out and stretched to form a blue long sword. Call. She stepped forward directly, turned into a cyan divine light, and rushed to the distant battlefield in an instant. 76%. Chapter 227. Two Juvenile Great Emperors. First update. On the battlefield. Dao Dao sword ray is like a horse training, cool and peerless. And the sword chi swept across the sky, turning into a long river, mighty and mighty. Everything within a radius of tens of miles was cut into pieces by sword chi. What old trees, what rocks, under the endless sword chi, are all flying like confetti. Boom boom boom. An astonishing collision sounded like a thunderclap, resounding in all directions. 3,000 plum leaves are flying, and the sword is vertical and horizontal. The true spirit of Lingyun level swordsmanship soars to the sky, which makes people's hearts palpitate. And on the other side, the hair of the veteran Taoist from Dayu fluttered, his eyes were like lightning, and the true meaning of the way of swords soared to the sky. The long sword in his hand is like the Milky Way, constantly colliding with Li Ziyi. The strength of the two is comparable. Hit from the air to the ground. And hit the sky from the ground. Sen Leng's sword chi is everywhere. And at this moment, in the distance, a cyan divine light rushes forward, and its momentum is equally terrifying to the extreme. A large amount of airflow is chaotic, the wind is wanton, and the vegetation is flying. Anyone else? The old Dao heart was shocked. He took the time to look at 21. At a glance, he saw Qinglian standing on the fourth-rank lotus platform and holding a long blue sword in that cyan divine light. Hiss. After seeing each other's appearance clearly, he gasped, horrified in his heart. Very young. How can you be so powerful at such a young age? This woman's strength is probably no less than that of the Nine Changes King. The same as the woman who was fighting with him. This is horrible. How could two such terrifying young women suddenly appear in this small spiritual realm? In the legends, only the great emperor and their strongest opponents. Only when you are young can you have this amazing strength. Those ones. But they are all young great emperors, evildoers who can embark on the legendary great emperor's road. They are, Bailing Dayu. There is no such unrivaled monster. Boom. Qinglian approached. The hazy blue divine light rushed, directly enveloping Li Ziyi. The cyan long sword in her hand was even more merciless, and instantly slashed at the old Taoist. If we talk about Li Ziyi's sword, the edge is sharp and can cut everything. Then Qinglian's sword. It contains good fortune and vitality. One sword out. It seemed that the whole world cheered. The hazy sword ray sweeps across, as if to take away all life in the world. Sword ray hasn't fallen yet. The old Taoist felt that the vitality in his body was suppressed, and he was even more eager to move, if he wanted to rush out directly. He was horrified. What kind of kendo is this? What is vitality? That's Suan. The vitality is exhausted, that is, the end of life. He had never seen such a strange way of swordsmanship. It can actually cause restlessness. If he was cut by a sword. There was a bit of horror in his eyes. I am afraid that part of the vitality will be swallowed up, and the lifespan will be weakened. For any cultivator, longevity is the most important thing. The vast majority of practitioners practice hard. Isn't the purpose of increasing the cultivation base, increasing the lifespan and allowing it to live for a longer period of time? This sword technique that can deprive lifespan. Whenever a repair practitioner encounters it, his scalp will tingle and he will be terrified. Clang! He quickly swung his sword to block it. But Li Ziyi's sword fell again. Moment. He fell into the siege of Li Ziyi and Qinglian. This made him a little frightened. Too strong. Li Ziyi can be on par with him. Now there is another young woman whose strength is not weaker than him. He is no longer an opponent. Go on. Soon to be defeated. At the same time, he was also full of aggrieved. I am a dignified Yuan Wu Tianjin. He was actually suppressed by two juniors here. This made him angry. Boom, boom, boom. The three figures turned into three rays of light, constantly colliding with each other. This horrifying and astonishing scene. The faces of several experienced disciples were full of horror, and even a little bit of fear. They've seen it. My master is at a disadvantage. Then, who is that? It's so scary. Several people looked at each other, and they could see disbelief in each other's eyes. One Li Ziyi is suspected to be an unrivaled evildoer like a young great emperor. And now, another boy, the great emperor, appeared. When is the juvenile great emperor, a legendary unrivaled evildoer, so worthless? In a small spiritual domain, two statues suddenly appeared. Grunt. Tong Sanjian and the others swallowed. Li Ziyi is very strong, they have barely accepted it now. But suddenly, another woman who is not weak at all. And the point is, they still know this woman. Isn't she just a maid who followed Dajin Patriarch? A maid. Can you fight Yuan Wu Tianjin? They doubted whether they were dreaming. It's incredible. The maids are so scary. Then, as the master, Patriarch Dajin. How terrible should it be? Tong Sanjian remembered that 10 years ago, he had fought side by side with the opponent. But in a blink of an eye, the other party's maid can fight Yuan Wu Tianjin. In his heart, it was as if he had knocked over a bottle of 5 flavors, and only he knew the taste in it. Battle 317 Field. It's not easy. The old Taoist suddenly saw a flaw and was overjoyed. His eyes bloomed with an astonishing sword intent, and he slashed at Qinglian with all his strength. Boom. The void is shaking. The mighty sword ray, like a shocking river, swept across Zhang Lian. This sword master even used a secret technique. It can increase his strength by 10%. Although only 10%, but it also made his attack power much stronger. After all, it is the limit of the 9-change king after improving by 100%. There is simply a feeling of surpassing the realm of kings. After all, he is Yuan Wu Tianjin. Only limited by the spiritual domain, the cultivation base was suppressed to the limit of the 9-change king. But some secret methods that are very harmful to the body. Now that he is using the cultivation base of the 9-change king limit, the damage to own will be greatly reduced. Boom. Sword ray slashed fiercely on the surface of Qinglian, that layer of cyan shield. Excitement appeared in the old man's eyes. As long as one person is hit hard first, the remaining one is injured desperately, and he will be injured again. And thought of capturing the 2 girls by himself. Tune in again. Bring back Bailing Deu. Then from now on, he might become the overlord of the Bailing territory. Ha ha ha. He felt joy in his heart, as if he had already seen his bright future. 76%. Chapter 228 Sword Slaying Yuan Wu Tianjin. Second more. Boom. The mighty sword ray instantly slashed outside Qinglian's body, on the hazy light curtain. This layer of light curtain looks extremely fragile and thin. It is similar to the defensive light curtain formed by the cultivator with magic treasures. In the eyes of the old Taoist, Qin Zan, facing his pinnacle sword, it is estimated that it is not much better than paper. Definitely an instant hit, but the result was completely beyond his expectations. The hazy cyan light flowed. With just a shock, he blocked his sword that surpassed the limit. And, not just blocking, a smile appeared on Qinglian's face. The fourth-rank lotus platform under her feet rotated gently. A terrifying counter-shock force erupted fiercely. Under this ferocious force, the extreme sword ray instantly turned around and slashed back at the old Taoist, Qin Zan. And more powerful. The momentum is stronger. That sharp force is almost as if he wants to cut off his subjects. What? Qin Zan was horrified. Looking at the rewinding sword ray, he couldn't believe it. The shocking sword that I cast my secret method. Not only did it not cause the slightest damage to the enemy, but it also rolled back. Cut. Li Ziyi suddenly yelled coldly. His voice was cold. The long sword in her hand seemed to suddenly become light and fluffy, like a weed. Suddenly fell down. Sword ray is overwhelming, and the horror of its power has surpassed the limit of the nine-change king. This is the strongest sword in the Cao Zijian Ju. Plum leaves named Zan Star. She looks forward to the day. I can cut down the stars in the sky with one sword. Sword ray is still falling. A huge crack has been torn open in the ground below. The crack stretched for thousands of meters, and everything along the way was turned into ashes. Cut. Qinglian also gave a light drink. Throwing the Qinglian sword in his hand, it suddenly turned into an incomparable cyan sword ray, piercing towards Qin Zan. Li Ziyi took the martial Dao route, breaking Wanfa with one sword, and falling star with the sword. But Qinglian took the cultivator path, stepping on the lotus platform, riding the wind and controlling the sword. But actually, both are just focusing on it. As a wooden demon. They are both French and military dual cultivation. Rumble. 3 sword rays lit up dazzling light in the air. Every sword ray is tyrannical to the extreme. Can kill the ordinary 9 changes king. The terrifying sword pressure crushed the void as if it were an iron plate. Old Taoist Qin Zan's complexion turned pale, and uncontrollable fear welled up in his eyes. His hair was full of color, and he roared madly in his heart. Block. Block me. Pipe pipe exclamation mark quote. I am Yuan Wu Tianjin, how could I fall into this small spiritual domain? His eyes were full of blood. 3 sword rays came. He felt a crisis of death. That was a terrifying crisis enough to kill him. After practicing for more than 200 years, he can't remember the last time he faced a death crisis, how many years ago. Boom. A dazzling sword chi erupted from his whole body. Endless sword chi surrounds him, forming a storm of sword chi. Sword chi storm goes up to the sky and down to the ground. Every sword chi is spinning crazily, and the air is easily pierced. A terrifying gust of wind came out from this sword chi storm, sweeping towards the land with a radius of 100 miles. Boom. The first to cut too. Naturally, it was the world-shocking sword ray who was bounced back by Qinglian. This sword ray was originally cut by Qin Zan. After the anti-shock and strengthening of the 4th-rank lotus platform. The power has almost increased by 20% again. This is in the spiritual realm. It is the most invincible power, which can easily obliterate a king of 9 transformations. Under everyone's shocking eyes, this world-shocking sword ray crushed a large number of sword chi in an instant, and slashed towards Qin Zan in the center frantically. The endless sword chi collided in the sword chi storm. They all collapsed directly, and they couldn't stop this sword ray at all. Why is it so much stronger? Qin Zan turned pale with shock. Naturally, he knew exactly what power the sword he had slashed. But now, the sword ray that came back upside down is 20% stronger. It has surpassed the limit of the 9 changes king itself. 20% stronger. He was full of fear. What kind of monster is this? Not only can the attack be rebounded, but the attack power of the rebounded attack has also increased. How to fight this? There is no need to fight at all. And the next moment, Li Ziyi's strongest sword cut star. Also slashed suddenly on the sword chi storm. The momentum is strong, the power is terrifying, and it is not much weaker than the rewinding sword ray. And the 3rd sword ray also penetrated directly. Just for an instant, the storm of sword chi that connects the sky and the earth explodes directly. Can't stop these 3 sword rays at all. Bang. The 3 sword rays were almost indistinguishable, and they slashed at the old Taoist Qin Zan with extreme ferocity. This Yuan Wu Tianjin let out a scream. The large shield that was hastily taken out of his hand was directly blown to pieces, and his whole body was covered in blood, and he flew out. Still in the air, there was a look of incomparable fear on his face. Astonishing. The sword chi that does not belong to him erupts from his body. A breath, and smashed his internal organs and meridians to pieces. Exclamation mark. I am unwilling. I am dignified Yuan Wu Tianjin. How could I die here? Qin Zan shouted. His face was full of despair. His 7 orifices were covered with blood, like a ghost. He stared at Li Ziye and Qinglian with hatred in his eyes. There is no trace of indifference in the past. The breath all over his body dissipated rapidly, and finally fell from the air powerlessly. Look at this side of the world. His own life flashed in his eyes. Never thought about it. He would actually die in the spiritual domain. Boom. The body hit the ground, raising smoke and dust. Far and near, many people were watching the battle. All of them looked in awe and were horrified in their hearts. A Yuan Wu Tianjin. Fallen. Even some cultivator practitioners from Lengyueling City don't know their status as veterans. But that horrific battle scene. And let them understand. Whether it is Lao Dao, or Li Ziye, Qinglian, their strengths are terrifying, beyond imagination. Send them to Willow God. With her hands behind her back, Li Yu Wang Liaojiao looked at the trembling old Taoist disciples with pale faces, and ordered lightly. Willow God. Some memories can be known from the devoured souls. But to Yuan Wu, nascent soul realm. The soul is integrated into the martial Tao seed or nascent soul. It is difficult to obtain any memory from their souls. Yuan Wu Tianjin, nascent soul Tianjin. This already belongs to another level of beings. Yes, Qinglian nodded slightly. Just point it out. Immediately, the 4 sword rays turned into 4 lotus leaves, which directly stunned and covered the 4 veteran disciples. This is just a practitioner on the 5th and 6th floors of the 7 soul realm. For her, but the chicken and the dog can be destroyed at will. And with the veteran Qin Zan's death. Far away. A vast south of the great domain. On the top of a sacred mountain, a middle-aged man suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes rushed out. It directly blasted a hill dozens of miles away into pieces. 77%. Chapter 229 Divine Transformation Venerable. Third change. Qin Zan is dead. The middle-aged man narrowed his eyes and whispered to himself. He wears a black Taoist crown on his head, a black feather coat, and a sword between his knees. The sword was as black as ink. 3 feet 3 inches long, extremely simple, without a scabbard. On the surface, there is no trace of sharpness, let alone any sharpness. Call. Suddenly, a ray of light rushed from the foot of the mountain and fell on the ground to form a figure. This figure is also wearing a feather robe and a star crown, but it is an old man. However, the old man respectfully bowed down to the middle-aged man. Disciple Yu Shan, pay homage to Master. Are you here for Qin Zan? The middle-aged man said lightly. His pupils are extremely peculiar. Inside, there seems to be a strange god with 9 heads and 17 arms. A faint divine power filled the air, making people shudder. Dare to ask Master Qin Zan's whereabouts? The old man said respectfully. Although Qin Zan is not considered his proud disciple. But among his many disciples, he can also be regarded as his predecessor. After all, he is a Yuan Wu Tianjin. Now that he died outside, he, as a master, naturally couldn't ignore it. I thought it was just a trivial matter, so I asked Qin Zan to handle it for me. I didn't expect 020 to let him die in Outland instead. The middle-aged man shook his head slightly. He pointed. Immediately, the 9-headed and 17-armed gods in the pupils also burst into astonishing divine light. The divine light forms a strange and simple light mirror in the void ahead. There are plenty of runes on the surface of the mirror. This is the spirit pattern. Condense the power of heaven and earth. It is rumored that some formation masters can form formations with spirit patterns, and their power is extremely terrifying. Glittering on the light mirror. The old man watched intently. He knew that this was a small supernatural power, Sautian Baojing, mastered by master. Under the Sautian treasure mirror. There is nothing to hide. With the cultivation base of Master's God transformation realm, a single divine thought can cross thousands of mountains and rivers, thousands of miles away, and observe the world. Slowly, on the Sautian treasure mirror, the sunlight scene appeared. It was the scene where Qin Zan was hacked to death by 3 sword rays. But only this scene. There were no figures of Li Yu, Li Ziye, Qinglian and others. That sword ray is Qin's mighty land sword. Why did he cut himself? The old man, Wang Ce, stared and said in surprise. Dewey Earth Sword. This is one of their strongest Tianjin-level sword techniques in treading the sky. Outsiders did not receive inheritance. It is absolutely impossible to learn. And he can see it. That sword ray has Qin Zan's true meaning of swordsmanship. Apparently, that is the sword that Qin Zan himself slashed. But in the end, he didn't hit the enemy, but himself. Even if it is as strong as him. Already standing on the 8th stage of Yuanwu realm, only one step away from reaching the peak of Yuanwu. Also somewhat difficult to understand. Bounced back. The opponent has a rebound type of spell or supernatural power. The middle-aged man spoke slowly. He was also a little surprised. In that small spiritual realm, there are people who know how to rebound spells or supernatural power. It's interesting. Original. He was just a little annoyed because his wisp of divine sense was destroyed. Therefore, he sent a disciple and grandson to deal with the master of the spiritual domain. But now, the master of the spiritual domain obviously has some tricks. But he didn't care either. Some means. After all, it is just a small spiritual realm life. An ant-like practitioner of the three-soul realm doesn't deserve too much attention from him. Even the master of the spiritual domain is the same. He is the venerable of the God transformation realm. It has lived for more than 1,000 years. In this Bailing domain, I have also met several masters of the spiritual realm. After all, Bailing Deu. It is the only large domain in this area. Including the 9 true spirit realm, which is tens of billions of miles away, and so on. They all belong to the periphery of the Bailing domain. In this CBBB area, the number of spiritual domains is unknown. Even if it is difficult for the Lord of the spiritual realm to be born, there will still be 1 or 2 popping up from time to time. Not to mention, some great sect, in man-made spiritual realms. For example, they tread the empty road. This makes it appear that the master of the spiritual domain is not some great arrogance in the great domain. It is very difficult for 9 cycles divine palace realm to have an attack power of 30 million caddies. But for their orthodoxy with divine transformation venerable sitting in town. As long as you are willing to spend some money, you can always cultivate it. And so many masters of the spiritual domain. But in the end, he can become a person with divine transformation and venerable power. But hardly ever. So is divine transformation venerable. Naturally, he can look down on any master of the spiritual domain, regardless of his subordinates. The disciple understands. The disciple will go there in person. The old man Wang Ce saluted. Although the master of the spiritual domain is not too rare in the large domain. But in the end it is also a pride. He didn't want to stage a joke of constantly sending people to give each other experience. For anyone who dares to step on the empty road against them, they must be suppressed and killed with absolute tyrannical strength. Hong Mo nodded casually. Close your eyes again, continue to read the divine transformation, and travel in the void. The old man Wang Ce bowed again. Then turned around and disappeared into a ray of light. Li Yu didn't know. The moment Yuanwu Tianjin died was sensed by the existence tens of billions of miles away. At this time, he was sitting in a mansion in Lengyueling City. Looking at the large amount of information sent by Lu Shen. Bailing great territory. Treading the empty road. It's actually a top Taoist lineage with 2 divine transformation venerables. His face was a little dignified. From the memory of the veteran Qin Zan. Lu Shen sorted out a lot of useful things. But in the end it was brutal devouring. There are also many memories that have disappeared. Therefore, the information obtained is also somewhat fragmented. But Li Yu from it. It can also roughly spell out the general situation of Bailing Deu. That is an incomparably prosperous, incomparably terrifying great domain. One after another, the orthodoxy is overwhelming the world. A venerable named Divine Transformation stands on the 9th stage, overlooking the world. In the great domain of Bailing, the king of the 3-soul realm is nothing at all. Only Yuan Wu, the heavenly lord of nascent soul realm, can be a strong one. And to set up a moral order. But only divine transformation and venerable can do it. That is to say, any orthodoxy in the Bailing area. Historically, there have been divine transformation or venerable. That weight exists, already considered a real god. One thought can change the color of the world, one thought can collapse mountains and seas, one thought can create universe. 77%. Chapter 230 Ancient Repair Ruins, Emperor Wen. First update. I don't know what level my current strength belongs to. Li Yu whispered to herself. For 10 years. Except for Li Zihan, everyone in the family has reached 9 cycles Divine Palace realm. Everyone. The strength is amazing. It can be called the world's unparalleled peerless, Tianzhao. And the 4th generation is also growing slowly. Li Zimo's eldest son Li Yongchen, cultivation base reached 5th stage martial master realm. The second son Li Yongmo is just over 10 years old and is still in body refining. The eldest daughter, Li Yongxin, is not yet 8 years old and has never practiced cultivation. Li Zixing, a pair of sons and daughters, Li Yongyuan and Li Yongtong, more than 11 years old, have just stepped into the martial master realm. A pair of sons and daughters of Li Ziran, Li Yonggan and Li Yongshuan, one is over 8 years old and the other is over 6 years old. Also haven't practiced yet. 4th generation. Now it is these 7 people. Including him, the entire Li family now has 15 members. Certainly, the strength improvement that the 4th generation can bring to him now is extremely weak. But the future is promising. My basic attack power now exceeds the power of 2 mountains. The attack increase has also reached 17 times. Xiaocheng's divine body has reached the extreme, and the increase is too amazing, directly increasing the power of saber technique by 3 times. His eyes flashed. For 10 years, following Li Daoyan, Li Zimo, and Li Zihan, the spiritual body evolved into a divine body. Feedback to him. Directly let his Xiaocheng Shen physique reach the limit of Xiaocheng Shen physique. Xiaocheng has a strong body. Far beyond the ordinary divine body. The gap is extremely huge. 17 times the attack increase. Then let him cut it down with a single knife, reaching the strength of 34 mountains. As far as he knows. Yuanwu Tianjin. Generally, the basic attack power is between the power of 2 mountains and the power of 3 mountains. The peak of Yuanwu Tianjin. It can reach the power of 11 mountains and 12 mountains. So it works out. Without using supernatural power, I should not be the opponent of the peak existence of Yuanwu Tianjin. He shook his head slightly. The basic attack might be the power of 12 mountains. With the strength of Yuanwu Tianjin. No matter how the attack increases, it must be more than 4 times. If you have a spirit, it must be more than 5 times. Even without a spirit body, there are amazing secret techniques in cultivation. It can also reach more than 5 times. That stacks up. The attack power will exceed the power of 60 mountains. Far better than his usual state. Certainly, if he casts supernatural power, it's different. The strength is more than doubled. But supernatural power is supernatural power. This is already a means of the gods. That is to say, the existence above the god transformation realm world will only come into contact with the terrifying ability. So he casts supernatural power. It is also extremely expensive. All of his true energy was exhausted. It is estimated that they can only cast the power of supernatural power less than 30 times. If under 30 times of supernatural power, the enemy has not been beheaded yet, then he would be the one to die. Even if you cast supernatural power. I'm afraid it's not the kind of opponent of Yuanwu Tianjin at the peak level. But it should be about the same. He mused. Sort out his own strength. For 10 years. Not only does Baoshan Yin evolve, it becomes King Rank's fighting martial arts. The rest of martial arts. There are also many changes. He turned his gaze and opened the own property panel. Name. Li Yu. Identity. The 1st generation of the Li family. Cultivation base. 9 cycles Divine Palace. Physical. Tao of the Sword minimum achievement limit, 3 times boxing divine body minimum achievement of 2.5 times. Supernatural power. The power of heaven, superposition, 1 knife and 2 breaks, drawing knife to cut off water, falling star, measuring heaven and earth, taking pictures with heavenly knife. Martial arts. Taizan Heavenly God Chapter, Divine Palace 9th floor. 9th stage Baoshan Seal. Superb King Rank Wangpin, Lingyun level Xiaocheng Baoshan true meaning. The Underworld Dao San Dao. Supernatural King Rank Wang Pinling went to level Xiaocheng Prison Demon true meaning. Hunyuan Shooting the Sun. Superb King Rank Wangpin, Lingyun level Xiaocheng Shooting the Sun true meaning. Emperor Step 9 Heavens. Excellent King Rank Wangpin, Lingyun level Xiaocheng Feng Emperor Junny. 9 Nether Tianyan. Superb King Rank Wangpin, Lingyun level Xiaocheng 9 Nether true meaning. White Emperor's 3 cuts. Initiation incomplete Emperor art. Basic power. The power of 2 mountains. Attack amplification. 17 times. This White Emperor cuts 3 times. I don't know when it will be initiated. asking for flowers. Li Yu looked at her gorgeous faceplate, and was very satisfied in her heart. However, after seeing Beatty's 3 cuts for 5 years, he still had no initiation, and he felt a little helpless. This incomplete imperial art. It is obtained from the trade interface. The person who traded with him was an ancestor who had never heard of time traveler before. Not much to say. At the beginning, he directly asked him if he wanted this incomplete imperial art of 100,000 spirit coins. Of course he has no reason not to. After all, the word Dishu. It's amazing. That is the legendary great emperor who is invincible in the world. Only then can we create an unsurpassed Dharma door. Although there are still 2 words incomplete. But also absolutely terrifying to the extreme. Put it in Bailing Deu. 0. All the divine transformations and venerables must cause a sensation and fight wildly. Maybe even, the Bailing area was directly reduced to ruins. Even the horrors above divine transformation and venerable exist. They are all coming to snatch this incomplete imperial art. Call. A lavender picture scroll slowly appeared in his hand. The scroll opens. There is a faint purple divine light gushing out, sweeping the 4 directions. This is the address of an ancient ruin. It is also obtained from the trade interface. Even for 10 years, the ancestors of the traversers suffered heavy casualties. But there are still hundreds of millions left. These traverser ancestors. Many of them have stepped into the spiritual realm. Each has an opportunity. And he, Li Yu, was among the ancestors of the traversers. It is already a well-deserved number 1 in the world. Not only strength first, finances are also number 1. So what treasures did the rest of the traverser ancestors get? If you want to exchange it for spirit coins. The Mets contacted him directly. For 10 years, he got a lot of strange things from it, and some exotic treasures. And the picture scroll of the ancient repair ruins. It's something he values very much. Because the most central position of this scroll is a text. What is Diwan? That is the exclusive text of the Great Emperor. It contains immeasurable power and is extremely terrifying. If the insight is thorough, even a corner of the Great Emperor's remnant array can be laid down, and the world's sword can be suppressed. 77%. Chapter 231 Luxors. Hutu Ancestor Witch. Second more. What exactly is the Great Emperor realm exists? Li Yu couldn't tell. Even in the memories Lu Shen got from the soul of the Yuan Wu Tianjin, there is no such information. Just know, even in the Bailing area, the Great Emperor is also a legendary figure. Everyone. They are all existences that crush the world and are invincible vertically and horizontally. That is definitely a terrifying existence that far surpasses divine transformation and venerable realm. Li Yu whispered. In fact, in the memory of that Yuan Wu Tianjin, even the realm above divine transformation and venerable, there is not much information. Anyway, Bailing Deu, there has never been an existence beyond divine transformation and divine power venerable. In the history of Bailing Deu more than 10,000 years. The strongest are divine transformation and venerable. Could it be that this scroll is related to the Supreme Great Emperor? 060, he looked at the purple scroll in his hand, thinking. There is a terrifying restriction power on the scroll. With his current strength, he cannot be shaken. He could feel. Only by reaching the strength of the God transformation realm, can these restrictions be broken. Really insight into the secret of this scroll. Suddenly, he looked up to the sky. I saw a large amount of golden luck appearing abruptly there. Luck is like a long river. Mighty. These lucks slowly transformed and condensed into a real dragon. The real dragon sings a long song, extremely joyful. And this dragon chant sound. In the entire great Gentiantia, all living beings heard it. And amazing luck. It is instantly connected with the Dajin spiritual realm in the distance. Through it, have the luck of the 2 domains finally connected. A look of joy appeared on Li Yu's face. Dajin spiritual realm and 9 true spirit realm are far apart. There are more than 1 million miles. Original. The entire Dajin dynasty seemed to be divided into 2 parts. Part of it is in Dajin Lingyu. Part of it is in the 9 true spirit realm. Although they are all in a dynasty system. But the Zhoujun Lingyu is more like a vassal state. Although luck belongs to the Dajin dynasty. But it is divided into 1 main and 1 branch form. The Dajin dynasty dominates. The original Lengyu dynasty was a tributary. And now, the tributary finally joins the main. He can feel. I also have a kind of control over the 9 true spirit realm. That is the state of the master of the spiritual realm. Dajin has expanded my authority as the master of the spiritual realm. Or, the Dajin spiritual realm swallowed up this part of the nine true spirit realm. There was a smile on his face. The whole body slowly lifted into the air. Rise higher and higher. Finally, stand at a height of 100,000 feet, overlooking the bottom. Dajin Lingyu and Zhoujun Lingyu. It's like two oases in the desert. Between the two spiritual domains, there are wild mountains, rising and falling one after another. But now, under the penetration of the luck of the two spiritual realms, he also has a sense of control over the wild mountains. Although far inferior to the feeling in the two spiritual domains. But also extremely astonishing. Break, he whispered to himself, stretched out his hand and pointed towards the wild mountains. Immediately, his finger zoomed in rapidly. Waiting until 100,000 feet below. It has already stretched across hundreds of miles, like a supreme god pressing his finger from the sky. The strange beasts and demonic beasts in the wild mountains below were all terrified, lying on the ground trembling. Boom. One finger dropped. Dozens of wild and desolate mountains were directly crushed into powder. What strange beasts, what demonic beasts, what towering ancient trees. Everything is crushed under this finger. Li Yu looked calm. He retracts his fingers, and among the wild hills, there is already a huge plain with a radius of hundreds of miles. This is the strength of Yuan Wu Tianjin, and as the Dajin spiritual realm devoured a part of the nine true spiritual realm, the support for him has also been greatly enhanced. Originally, it was only to increase his basic attack power by 10 million jin. But now it has almost risen to 50 million caddies. Let his strength skyrocket, within this great spirit realm. It has almost reached the horror level of Yuan Wu Tianjin 8th stage realm. Boom boom boom. He stands above the sky. One finger after another fell. After hundreds of points were pointed out, he slowly stopped. There is still a passage. He whispered softly. Still reach out. The vertical palm is a knife. Boom. A sky-reaching sword light cut down instantly. The wild and desolate mountains were chopped into pieces. Daomeng started from the edge of Dajin Lingyu. Follow the place where Li Yu's palm passed, and head towards the nine true spiritual realm, which is more than 1,000,000 miles away. Rumble. All the mountains along the way, all the demonic beasts, Riki Lingmine, Lingzi and other lotus. All of them were turned into powder under the sky-reaching sword light, and the smoke and dust shot up into the sky. After a while, a passage with a width of tens of miles appeared in the wild mountains. There is not a trace of bend in this passage. The hundreds of plains he pointed out before. It is located on both sides of this road. Regardless of those plains, or this road, all have his residual terror aura. The strange beasts and demonic beasts around were all terrified, and hurriedly fled for their lives in the distance. But in Dajin spiritual realm and nine true spirit realm, everyone saw this shocking knife. Everyone was dumbfounded, opened their mouths wide, and wondered if they were dreaming. A knife split through the wild mountains. This is simply divine power. Horrible. No true monarch of the Purple Mansion or king of the Three Soul Realm can imagine it. Grandpa's strength is too amazing. The sky above Leng Yueling City. Li Ziran exclaimed. This knife is the strongest one. He felt that even if he got a little bit of aftermath, he would be annihilated in ashes. Father's strength is unbelievable. Li Daosu stood on top of Wangcheng Yangdu. His face was filled with amazement. The faces of the courtiers behind him were shocked and speechless. Drop 3.3 times with one finger, and 100 miles will be destroyed. With one blow, a passage was cut between the Dajin spiritual realm and the nine true spirit realm. This is simply not ordinary. But gods, Li Daosu, Li Daoyan, Li Zimo, Li Zixing and others also stood in the air. There is nothing but amazement and joy on the face. The connection is much stronger. Now, being in the area of the original Lengyu dynasty in Zhoujun Lingyu and Dajin Lingyu are the same to me. Li Yu looked down, with a hint of satisfaction on her face. He glanced away. He glanced at the luck column in the family interface. Luck worth 8,625 points. And it keeps going up. And at the same time, he also had another control method of the 12 Golden Man in his mind. Ancestral Witch of Earth. How to. This is already the 6th Golden Man he opened. 78%. Chapter 232. The ability of the How to Ancestral Witch. Emperor Zhongjin. Jumingjin people. Congratulations to the financiers. The Gold Collector. Gongjin people. And now. It is the 6th Golden Man, the post-Earth Gold Man. Call. A faint yellow light flashed in front of Li Yu. It was a woman with a snake tail, 7 hands behind her back, 2 hands on her chest, and a woman holding a snake with both hands. Woman with dark hair and shawl. A pair of eyes with a faint yellow light. The skin is as fair as the first snow, and the face is beautiful. Standing there is a magnificent momentum. Wearing a complicated black long dress, she also has a very strange sense of mystery. As the luck of the Dacian dynasty became stronger and stronger. When more than 7,000 points of luck. The cultivation base of the 12 golden people has already reached the realm of the king of 3 souls. And with cultivation base reach realm of kings. Great changes have also taken place. The biggest point, that is, it no longer looks like a cold metal creation, but looks like a real living creature. Wisdom has also improved a lot. How to pay homage to the Lord. Hu Tu Yingying bowed down, with a peaceful and tranquil expression on his face, and a radiance that embraced everything. 21. Just like the earth that carries everything in the world. Free gift, Li Yu said. He looked at How Tu in front of him with a look of joy in his eyes. 12 golden men. Anyone is not only powerful. And there are different methods. Tei Aiki can travel through space. Like a Mang, it can attune the wood demon. Ru Zhirong, it can condense the different fires of heaven and earth, and can also be turned into a demon. Like harvesting, it can turn all metals in the world into exquisite weapons. Such as Gonggong, it can control oceans and rivers, giving Dacian soldiers the ability to walk in the water as if walking on flat ground. And the back soil in front of you. It can ripen all spiritual plants, and even make spiritual plants break through the original boundaries. For example, a king-rank spiritual plant, Zichi Bayahua. 1,000 years of time can mature. It can only be picked after it is mature, and refined into the extremely precious Zifu Dan. What is Zifu Dan? This is the auxiliary gold core cultivator, breaking through to the medicine pill of the true monarch realm of Purple Mansion. Precious to the extreme. Any gold core cultivator would love to. Although the cultivator has a long lifespan, the cultivation on this path has never been easy. The first step is to have spiritual roots. And when you reach the 9th floor of Qi refining, you need the assistance of Foundation Establishment Pill to increase the success rate of Foundation Establishment. On the 9th floor of the Foundation Establishment, Soul Condensation Pill is also needed to increase Kimming's success rate. And to the 9th floor of Kimming, Gold Yuan Dan is also needed to increase the success rate of Golden Core. Arrived at the 9th floor of the Gold Core, it is necessary for Zifu Dan to increase the success rate of opening Zifu. Each step, both require a lot of resources. These medicine pills, which can increase the success rate of advancement, are the most precious. Like a Zifu Dan. In the 9 true spirit realm, even if it was like the Leng Yu dynasty back then, it ranked 3rd. But it takes almost 100 years to make a furnace. This is all because the main herbal medicine, Purple Air 100-leaf flower, takes 1,000 years to mature. And the growing environment is also demanding. The output of Zifu Dan is extremely low, which is also the main reason for limiting the number of Zifu True Monarch. There is no Zifu Dan. Attack the Purple Mansion True Monarch realm by yourself. 99 out of 10 will fail. Only 1% chance of success. And with Zifu Pill, at least 20% hope to succeed. The gap is huge and extremely astonishing. There are gains and losses. When a cultivator obtains a lifespan that far exceeds that of a practitioner, it is naturally more difficult to practice. But, in front of How To, it only takes a few months for a Purple Air blossom. Will be mature. It can even break through the level of the Purple Air 100-leaf flower. The Zifu Pill refined from it. The success rate is naturally much higher. There's a descendant in. I will have a large number of Purple Mansion True Monarch. Even in the future, it can also accelerate the ripening of nascent soul fruit, the main material for refining nascent soul pill. As long as there are enough nascent soul pilsana 9th stage Zifu Chongjun, it's not difficult to pile up a batch of nascent soul Tianjin. He has a smile on his face. I am very satisfied with the appearance of How To. Nascent soul Dan. This is in the memory of that Yuanwu Tianjin Qinzan. Is extremely precious. In the Bailing area, those divine transformation orthodoxy are generally monopolized. Only a very small number will be exiled, and the value is priceless. After all, a nascent soul pill may represent the appearance of a nascent soul heavenly monarch. And the lifespan of nascent soul Tianjin is 1,500 years. 700 years longer than the true monarch of Zifu. For the lifespan of 700 years. Those true monarchs who have reached the 9th stage Purple Mansion realm. Naturally, it will be extremely crazy. He will not hesitate to go bankrupt. Call. Li Yu flipped his right hand, handed a storage ring to How To, and ordered. There are foundation establishment fruit, soul concentrating grass, genuine fruit, Zichi 100-leaf flower, and nascent soul fruit seeds. You ripen a batch and break through their limits. Leave the nascent soul fruit, and the rest will be harvested and handed over to the pill refining temple. The seeds of the nascent soul fruit. Naturally, he got it from the storage bag of that Yuan Wu Tianjin Qinzan. As the main material of nascent soul pills, nascent soul fruit is extremely rare. But the seeds are not too precious. The main reason is that nascent soul fruit needs a full 3,000 years to mature. This is where it is precious. 3,000-year time. Nascent soul Tianjin will replace 2 batches. It took such a long time to cultivate the nascent soul fruit produced by 040. One can imagine how rare and valuable it is. Hu Tu took it with his hand, saluted and said, "Yes, for her, ripening spiritual plants is a very simple matter. It's just a little more difficult for Lingzi to break through the original limit. But it's not too difficult. Just need to waste some time, waste some energy." Call. She takes one step forward. With a flash of yellow light under his feet, the person has disappeared. This is a supernatural power possessed by How To. Shrunk down. This is not the supernatural power of space, but the supernatural power of the earth. Through the power of the earth, it instantly spans space. It is similar to space supernatural power. Watching How To disappear, a strange look appeared in Li Yu's eyes. The future comes to the divine power venerable realm. Instead, you can take all the supernatural power from the 12 golden men and cultivate them all. The 12 golden men come from the legendary 12 ancestral witches. Each of them possesses an astonishing supernatural power. And not just one. That's why the strength is extremely terrifying. But some supernatural power. However, the requirements for cultivation base are extremely high. So now, there are not many supernatural powers that 12 Goldens can display. Like the back soil, you can only cast 3 supernatural powers. Shrink into an inch, pointing to the ground into steel. And the extremely terrifying Yuan magnetic divine light. 78%. Chapter 233. The road to longevity opens again, first change. This trio of supernatural power are extremely powerful. Shrinking the ground to an inch is definitely the standard for real bosses. Away from home, there is such a supernatural power in the body. No matter what you do, it is much more convenient and safer. Even in the face of an existence far stronger than himself, he can easily evacuate. Won't shrink to an inch. Not even real bosses. And pointing to the ground into steel. It is also a very strong supernatural power. One of the 36 supernatural powers of Tiangong. Point out, can turn the earth into an indestructible metal substance. And in the depths, with a finger, the void will turn into a large piece of metal. No matter how strong the existence is trapped in it, it will not be able to move and let it be slaughtered. It's even about to be crushed to pieces. As for Yuanqi Shengguang, the attacking power of this supernatural power is even more terrifying. With a wave of his hand, the heavenly and earth-piercing Yuan magnetic divine light sprinkled, strangling everything. This kind of magnetic magic light. Exclusive 5 elements. Any magic treasures and weapons of the 5 elements attribute will explode in power in front of the Yuan magnetic divine light. It's a pity that it's still far from the God transformation realm. I don't know if I can cultivate these supernatural powers when my strength reaches the divine transformation level. Li Yu whispered. This is just the supernatural power of the post-Tujin people. Dijong Jinren, Juming Jinren, Zhurong Jinren, Liao Jinren, Gonggong Jinren. These 5 golden men also possess extremely strong supernatural power. Sudden, a message popped up in front of him. Hint. The second stage of the road to longevity is open. Hint. Please enter the road of longevity to complete the challenge of the second stage of the road of longevity. The second stage of the road to longevity. Li Yu's eyes were full of joy. After a decade of waiting, has this second phase finally begun? He thought so. Should be shortly after the end of the first phase, the second phase will start. Unexpectedly, for 10 years, nothing happened. After all, in his opinion, as long as the road to longevity is opened, then the first reward must be his. This is equivalent to a free reward. And the reward of longevity road. Also extremely rich. In the 9 true spirit realm. Although also find some common exotic treasure. Trade interface, also trade some common exotic treasures. But except for the purple picture scroll with the imperial script on it, nothing really surprised him anymore. And that purple scroll. He still can't open it. But the reward of the longevity road. As you can tell from the first stage, it's all amazingly good stuff. If it weren't for the first stage of the longevity road challenge, he has almost no hope of gathering the medium world exotic treasure needed by the 7 members of the family to forge the God's Mansion. And now, he also had to prepare for the medium world exotic treasure needed by the 4th generation. Although the Tai Zan Tianshengshenzhang is extremely miraculous, it can be called the unparalleled number 1 method in the world. The mansion of the gods opened by the medium exotic treasure can evolve into the mansion of the gods opened by the high-level exotic treasure. It can also be opened up by ordinary exotic treasure to the god's mansion. Evolved into a medium exotic treasure to open up the god's mansion. But this kind of thing, it is natural to do your best. High world exotic treasure, he has no ability to obtain. But the medium world exotic treasure. But it can't go any lower. Without hesitation, he thought about it. Appeared directly on the road of longevity. But what surprised him was, this time it didn't appear directly on the steps, but in a square. Scattered in the square, there were quite a few people standing, all of them surprised and vigilant just like him. Just a glance, there are already dozens of people in this small square. And people keep showing up. These people, most of them have gray hair and look like old people. But the look and the agility in the eyes are nothing like the elderly. They're all time travelers. Li Yu instantly understood the identities of the crowd. Can have this quality. There is only the ancestor of the traverser with the same identity as him. And the momentum is not bad. The weakest has the strength of the 4th realm, 7th soul realm, Grand Great Master. There are even many who have reached the level of high-ranked Grand Great Master. Call. One after another tokens suddenly fell from the sky, turning into streamers and falling on their hands. Li Yu opened it and took a look. There is a miraculous word, 1, written on it. The reason why it is miraculous. It's because this word is actually somewhat similar to Nadiwen. It also carries an unpredictable force, as if hiding a terrifying power. In the first stage, I ranked first on the road to longevity, so the hundreds of people in this square are the ancestors who challenge the top 100 traversers in the first stage. Li Yu's eyes flashed. Already understood. After all, at this stage, there are not many ancestors who can possess the 4th realm, the strength above the 7th soul realm. Certainly, some of the top 100 people must have died in the past 10 years. But there are still 100 people here. Presumably it should be made up later. Just don't know. This survival system. What is the purpose of arranging hundreds of them here? In Shawuchu, the 5th place in the first stage, who is Li Yu? At this time, an ancestor with a somewhat gloomy complexion and dark green hair all over his head spoke. His eyes are blue. It was obvious that he had practiced some kind of evil kung fu. And on the cheeks, there are several pieces of scales, which look extremely weird, not like human beings. It's not just him. Among the hundreds of people on the field, at least 1/3, there are all kinds of weird things on the face. For example, there are horns on the head, a rhomboid monos crystal in the center of the eyebrows, will-o'-the-wisps burning in the pupils, snake scales covering the neck, etc. And seeing these traverser ancestors, the rest of the traversers, they all consciously moved away, although not explicitly stated. But there is a kind of disdain to be with the other party. Even a little hostile. It should be a time traveler who has taken refuge in a foreign race. Li Yu was expressionless. At first, the 5th hostile force gave 2 choices. One of it is to prepare the soul blood in advance and dedicate it to the night demons. This is the role of Lingdao sect. And for 10 years. It also broke out that after taking refuge in the alien race would plant an army of alien blood in their bodies. The blood of alien races will slowly transform their bodies, transforming them into inhumans. He glanced at Wu Chu, and said lightly, I am 78%. Chapter 234 Another Traveler's Provocation. The whole small square fell silent. All eyes were on Li Yu. To say that among all the traversers, which one is the most famous? Then there is no doubt. It's Li Yu. He is number 1 in the first stage of Longevity Road. And beyond the second stage 2 steps. He is also the richest ancestor among the traversers. It is easy to take out hundreds of thousands or even millions of spirit coins. There are quite a few of them though. The 4th hostile force like Lingdao sect has been wiped out. but in fact, the fourth hostile force they face. But it is far less rich than Lingdaozong. Not even a tenth. This may be what Li Yu guessed at the beginning. The sooner you face it, then the rewards you can get will be higher. Is he Li Yu? The female patriarch Qin Wenjun, the tomb robber Wang Zan, Lu Tian whose eldest grandson married a royal princess, Yunnan who was in the artifact refining gate, and the ancestors who have traded in the past 10 years. The eyes are quite curious. They all had contact with Li Yu. But to actually meet. But it was the 533rd time. There is a sense of novelty that netizens have finally met. I heard that there was a Dajin dynasty, and the ancestor was named Li Yu. That should be you. Dajin, Jerkin, hee. Don't you know that Qin dynasty the second died? Wu Chu sneered a few times, and the scales on his face faintly showed some black light. The whole face is even more gloomy. Do you know the Dajin dynasty? It seems that the spiritual domain you are in is not too far away from me. A strange look flashed in Li Yu's eyes, looking at Wu Chu who was full of hostility towards him for some reason. Certainly. Is there any hostility towards him? He doesn't care. Anyway, in front of him, they are nothing more than ants that can be easily exterminated. Even if he randomly dispatched people, he could make the other party's family leave neatly. None of the other Traverser ancestors spoke. One by one just watched quietly. To live till now. And they all have this strength. Most of the ancestors of the Traversers are very thoughtful. They don't want to provoke Li Yu. Wu Chu and the others also didn't want to provoke him. It's just that they are curious. Wu Chu, what confidence do you have to be an enemy of Li Yu? Or in other words, why does he want to be an enemy of Li Yu? Could it be for the mid-level world exotic treasure rewarded in the first stage? Or for the huge amount of money in Li Yu's hands? Of course not too far. Enjoy yourself, you don't have much time left. Wu Chu sneered a few times. He is happy. There is even more jealousy. The alien race he took refuge in was the night demon race. And recently, there is a tribe of night devils coming from far away. The aura of any member of this night demon clan is terrifyingly powerful. Let him take a look, and his heart trembles. Almost the weakest. They are comparable to the strongest of the night demon clan he has taken refuge in. And the leader of the night demon clan just glanced at him casually. His mind went blank, and his soul was almost injured. He heard from the night demon clansmen he was familiar with. This is the team from the ancestors. The leader is an elder of the ancestral land. It is a Yuan Wu Tianjin of the sixth great realm. The purpose of the other party's coming. It is to investigate the extermination of the clansmen in a mortal realm under the nine true spirit realm. And hearing this, he thought of Li Yu almost immediately. Then Li Yu, isn't it near the nine true spirit realm? And became the master of the spirit realm. So, there was hardly any hesitation. He then told the news to the night demon elder. The Tianyi Lingyu where he is. Just to the north of Zhenggu Lingyu. He also sent a large number of spies to Zhenggu Lingyu in the past 10 years. There are also those who have reached the nine true spirit realm. With the great reputation of the Dajin dynasty, he naturally knew the ancestor of the Dajin dynasty easily. Also known as Li Yu. Probing again, the opponent rose from a remote place in mortal realm more than 10 years ago. All right, there is no need to investigate any more. Almost immediately he was sure. The ancestor of the Dajin dynasty is the most famous Li Yu among the Traversers. Li Yu, who ranked first in the first stage of Chengsheng Road. And a legendary Yuan Wu Tianjin came to trouble Li Yu. Li Yu, is there still a way out? So at this time, I accidentally saw Li Yu here. He mocked without fear. After all, the other party is in his heart, and it won't be long before he is dead. No more sarcasm. There will be no chance in the future. Is it up to you? With her hands behind her back, Li Yu's voice was not loud, but with a chilling indifference. Don't worry, Jin Yiwei of the Dajin dynasty will find you soon. By the time, I'll send your family away neatly. Hear these words. Many ancestors of the Traversers felt chills in their hearts. They have no doubt. Li Yu has such strength. Waiting for you. But you have no chance. Wu Chu laughed twice, fearlessly. Just a dead man. What could he be afraid of? The legendary Yuan Wu Tianjin. That is a terrifying existence that can destroy thousands of miles of land with one blow. No mountain city can stop Yuan Wu Tianjin's attack. Call. Suddenly, everyone disappeared in place. When it reappears, Li Yu found herself standing on the fifth step. What does this survival system mean? Could it be just for us to get together and have a chat? He was a little taken aback. He thought so. This second stage of the challenge might have to fight each other or something. The result was unexpected. Moved him here again in a blink of an eye. The scene just now felt inexplicably familiar. He muttered. Hundreds of people gathered in a small square. Why is it so like a certain game I played before time travel? Shook his head. He looked at the two light curtains above. That's what he cares about the most. The light curtain on the left shows the results. There is no difference from the end of the first stage challenge. And the second light curtain. This is the reward for this challenge. Hiss. Just glanced at it. Li Yu just stared, shocked. This reward. Also too rich. 79%. Chapter 235 Sweeping the Longevity Road. Third change. The challenge at this stage lasts for 1 year. Challenge rewards for the second stage of the road to longevity. First place. High World Exotic Treasure 1, Medium World Exotic Treasure 5, Natural Divine Body 1, Natural Spirit Body 5, Spirit Coin 5 million. Second place. Medium World Exotic Treasure 3, Natural Spirit Body 3, Spirit Coin 1 million. Third place. Medium World Exotic Treasure 2, Natural Spirit Body 2, Spirit Coin 500,000. Fourth place. Low World Exotic Treasure 5, Incomplete Spirit Body 5, Spirit Coin 200,000. Fifth place. Low World Exotic Treasure 4, Incomplete Spirit Body 4, Spirit Coin 100,000. Sixth place. Low World Exotic Treasure 3, Incomplete Spirit Body 3, Spirit Coin 80,000. Advanced Heaven and Earth, Exotic Treasure. Born with a divine body. Li Yu's eyes showed a touch of heat. This is absolutely amazing reward. How powerful are the 12 golden men? This is the exotic treasure of higher world. How terrifying is the growth rate of his children and grandchildren. Half of it is due to their possession of divine bodies. It can be said, even in the Bailing area, there are almost no exotic treasures in the higher world. And the innate divine body. In Bailing Deu, no more than 10 people have ever appeared in history. Anyone. They have all fought invincible hands throughout the entire Bailing area, standing proudly in the world. And these, they are all just ordinary gods. As for the even higher Xiao Cheng Shen physique. Anyway, in the memory of that Yuan Wu Tianjin Qin Zan. Or it could be said to be in the records of their, stepping on the empty road. From the appearance of Bailing Deu to the present. Only one Xiaocheng god body was born. That little god. Once unified the entire Bailing area and established the Bailing dynasty. Dynasty. This is a fortune beyond a dynasty. Far from being comparable to any dynasty. The king of the dynasty is called the king. And the king of the dynasty. It is called the emperor. Not only the exotic treasure of the higher world, but also the innate divine body. There are also 5 pieces of medium world exotic treasure, and 5 pieces of natural spirit body. Li Yu's eyes sparkled. This time the reward. Far richer than last time. It is simply not a level. And that means the competition will definitely be fiercer. Even for this reward. It is estimated that many traversers will take risks and do some crazy things. For example, take refuge in aliens. Another example. Fall into devil Dao, use the Dao to increase blessings quickly and act. But these are for him. None of it makes sense. The first must be his. No one can take it away. Call. He thought about it. Instantly appeared on a plane. Plane 1. There are hundreds of aliens who are 2 meters tall, holding maces, and covered in dirt and rocks. These aliens, the momentum is thick, comparable to 7th stage martial master. There are a total of 307th stage martial masters, and there are also 3 4-turn divine palace realm alien race leaders. Not a devil. Li Yu narrowed her eyes slightly. He still remembers. The original 5th step. There are 100 ordinary demons from 4th stage martial master realm, and 1 demon leader from divine palace realm. According to previous calculations, then the 6th step. It should be 300 ordinary demons and 3 demon leaders. But now it has changed. The strength has directly crossed a level. But 10 years have passed. This is not a problem for most traversers. After all, 10 years is extremely long. Most of the traversers can survive until now, and their strength is not bad. Almost all of them unified a small country like Yan. With the power of one country. Naturally, they are not afraid of the aliens in front of them. The difficulty has increased, but it has no effect on me. Li Yu chuckled. Call. The figure of his daughter Li Dayan appeared in front of him. Came here suddenly. Li Daoyan was obviously taken aback, looking vigilant. But seeing her father in front of her, she relaxed again. See the scene in front of me again. She recalled where it was. Father used to say, Longevity Road, while at the same time. There were also 500 generals of the major armies at the peak of the Divine Palace, with expressionless faces. Kill them all, Li Yu ordered. Li Deyin nodded. Looking at the alien race below who sensed her appearance, Orthodox climbed up, holding a mace and screaming. Her face was tranquil, and 3,000 blue hairs were quietly drooping. A pair of eyes are peaceful and natural. Not a trace of murderous intent. Not even a trace of killing intent. Walking on the street, she looks like a lady from a big family who doesn't touch her hands. Soft and weak, with a look that is easy to bully. Clang! There was a knife cry. A sword light descended from the sky. With the breath of death and the underworld, instantly cut the leader of the alien beast below into a bloody mist. The land with a radius of several miles has been turned into the scorched earth of purgatory. And the other side, it's only a few breaths. 500 Divine Palace peak generals condense into a dragon army soul. Radiates the terrifying power of the realm of kings. Opening his mouth and roaring, the billowing killing intent condensed into a sky full of sword lights, and the hundreds of aliens were all cut into blood mist, drifting away and disappearing. Your true meaning of the Tao of the sword is about to ascend to heaven. Li Yu looked at her daughter Li Daoyan with satisfaction. Asking for flowers. Lingyun class martial Tao true meaning. Divided into initiation, small success, great completion, return to origin. 4 levels. Each level is very different. According to the memory of that Yuan Wu Tianjin Qin Zan. Even in the Bailing area, only the venerable of the divine power realm can cultivate the Lingyun level true meaning to the great completion realm. That is already an extremely terrifying level of true meaning. Just one look can make creatures not as strong as own fear, tremble, or even collapse. At least another year, Li Deyin said softly. Throughout the Li family, she is the one who is most obsessed with saber technique. She is also the strongest on saber technique realm. Except for Li Yu, she is also the most powerful. Even her strength is already comparable to the King of 7 Transformations. Much better than Li Ziran. Concentrate the 7 souls as soon as possible, and step into the 7 souls realm. 0. Li Yu stretched out her hand, stroked her daughter's black hair, and smiled. Li Daoyan was taken aback. She narrowed her eyes comfortably. Already do not remember. It's been a long time since my father pampered me like this. Father, don't worry, within 3 months, I will be able to condense the 7 souls and officially step into the 7 souls realm. Her voice is firm. Go ahead, you have to continue to do it later. Li Yu waved. Immediately, Li Deyin disappeared. 500 Divine Palace generals also disappeared. Then, the scene in front of him also disappeared immediately. 3 items appear. A meat field of Divine Palace mid-rank, 30,000 spirit coins, 100 points. He put it away casually. Meat fields and spirit coins. He didn't care about it. But the points, there will definitely be more in the future. Nowadays, he already has 250 points in his hand. 5 steps ahead, 10 points, 20 points, 30 points, 40 points, and 50 points were given respectively. And now the 6th step. But directly doubled and gave 100 points. Soon, past the 7th step, and this step. The enemies he was facing were already 300 bull-headed alien races who had turned into Divine Palace Realm. Already a 7th rank Divine Palace Realm's bull-headed alien leader. He estimated that there should not be many traversers who can pass through this level. On the 8th step, face 300 aliens from the 4th turn Divine Palace, pass. The 9th step faces 307 turn Divine Palace aliens, pass. The 10th step is facing 300 aliens from the 1st level of the 7 soul realm, pass. Go all the way through the 12th step. Li Yu stopped and stood on the 12th step, looking at the light curtain above. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. 79%. Chapter 236 Longevity Road Number 1. First update. First place, Li Yu, passed the 12th step. The total time is 3 hours, 29 minutes and 15 seconds. Second place, Qin Baichuan, passed the 9th step. The total time spent is 65 hours, 18 minutes and 23 seconds. The third place, Qin Huahuo, passed the 9th step. The total time was 72 hours, 25 minutes and 56 seconds. Fourth place, Dai Ju, passed the 9th step. Fifth place, Yi Nan, passed the 9th step. Sixth place, Zheng Dao, passed the 9th step. On the entire light curtain. Except that he passed the 12th step as the number 1. There are 18 more traversers who pass the 9th step below. The 12th step. It is necessary to face 300 alien races at the 7th level of the 7 soul realm, and 3 alien race leaders who are king level and 4 change kings. Certainly, this is not his limit. I really have to deal with it. 300. The 13th step is also passable. But that would call Li Daosu, Li Daolong, Li Zimo and others together. After all, the 13th step. Need to face 3 king-level alien leaders with 7 changes. With her daughter Li Dayin alone. It will be very hard. And the 9th step. It is necessary to face 300 alien races who are rank 7 Divine Palace Realm, and 3 alien race leaders who are at the 4th level of the 7 Soul Realm. It can be regarded as the limit level of the ancestors of other traversers today. No one can pass the 10th step. 10th step. Already it is time to face the alien leaders on the 7th floor of the 7 Soul Realm, and there are still 3 of them. Other traversers. Their children are far from reaching this level of strength. 12 steps should be enough. Even if it takes a year, even the traversers will definitely not be able to pass. Li Yu whispered. A quick glance at the square before. He has basically seen the ultimate strength of the rest of the traversers today. Basic attack power. The strongest should be able to reach the king level of the 5th realm. Certainly, the ancestors of the traversers generally have a stronger attack amplitude. Strength. It should be equivalent to the king of the 2nd change. In one spiritual realm, it's pretty good too. Take the original 9 true spirit realm as an analogy. Such as Tong Sanjian, the king of 3 transformations with a spiritual body, is the strongest. The king of the 3 transformations without a spirit body can be regarded as the 2nd echelon, second only to Xian. That is to say, more than 10 years ago, the group of ancestors of various forces who planned to besiege and kill him in Lengyulingcheng, but was beheaded by him. And the king of the 2nd change. Even the 3rd echelon. It can also be called a hegemony. Call. Not much to look at. He left directly, after waiting for a year. Come get the reward. And he left gracefully. But the rest of the traverser ancestors were dumbfounded, full of shock. 12th step. A full 3 levels ahead of 2nd place. For a while, a large number of traversers felt their scalps go numb, feeling unimaginable. 10 years ago, that longevity road, although Li Yu is also number 1. But only 2 steps above the 2nd place. And the 2 steps at that time. In fact, it is now a step gap. 10 years passed. Many ancestors of the traversers are gearing up, feeling that they are already very strong. They are all standing at the high-level stage of the spiritual domain. Each of them also established a dynasty, embezzling the surrounding mortal domains in large numbers. There are also some extremely strong ones. They have all become the masters of one party's spiritual realm. For example, those who can be ranked in the top 100 on the longevity road. Basically, they are the masters of the spiritual realm. Not only are they solid, the attack boost is also extremely powerful. But now, this time, the longevity road hit them hard like a slap in the face. Too strong, far beyond their power. Vori, are we in the same world? I know you are fierce, but why are you so fierce? Yunnan, who had dealt with Li Yu many times, left cursing. This is so overwhelming. He tried his best to pass the 9th step. Come out and have a look. 7. Li Yu has passed the 12th step. This gap is huge. I am afraid that if we really stand together, if the other party drops a finger, I will be crushed to death. Qin Wenjun opened his mouth when he saw this scene, and left in a carpenter's way. This gap is too big. Chasing 10 years. She thought it narrowed the gap. Turns out it's just what she thinks. And actually, the gap is getting bigger and bigger. It is so big that the other party breathes out, and it is estimated that she can kill her. Damn it. How could he be so strong? The 12th step. According to calculations, doesn't his daughter already have the strength of a king of 7 transformations? If so, doesn't he have the strength of the 6th realm, Yuan Wu Tianjin? Wu Chu's face was extremely gloomy. There was more panic. He also thought that Li Yu must die. After all, the ancestral land of the night demons. A Yuan Wu Tianjin level elder was sent to kill Li Yu. And they've all gone. But now, he suddenly found out. This is Li Yu, who is also a time traveler with him. It's so scary. Already have the strength of Yuan Wu Tianjin. I'm so close to him. If he is not dead. The more he thought about it, the more frightened he became. At the same time, I am very sorry. Why didn't he hold back a few words of ridicule before? What to do? What do I do? At this moment, he was like an ant on a hot pot, very anxious. Even the reward that was full of temptations could not attract his attention at all. More rewards. It takes life to spend. If that elder Yuan Wu Tianjin of the Night Demon clan failed to kill Li Yu, then I have to find a way to escape. He gritted his teeth and made up his mind. As the strong man from the Night Demon clan's lair finally coming. It's slow enough. Li Yu whispered to herself 3.0 softly. These 10 years. He is preparing to deal with it. Did not expect. 10 years have not come. But it's also good. The other party does not come. He also has more time to develop with peace of mind. And now, his strength has far surpassed the peak of the spiritual realm. And his cultivation base has not reached the limit of the spiritual realm. So in the scope of the spiritual domain, he is absolutely invincible now. Even if the ancient great emperor was reborn, it is impossible to be stronger than him when he comes to Lingyu. It is the legendary fairy who came from the dust, in this spiritual realm. He will tear it apart too. Certainly, it's really waiting for the existence of realm. There is no need for the other party to come to the spiritual realm. Slap far away. It is estimated that the entire spiritual domain will collapse. Unless it is an incomparably huge, incomparably vast spiritual domain. 79%. Chapter 237 The 5 Ancestral Witches Take Action Together. Second more. A month later. Li Yu's heart suddenly moved, and she looked to the south. A strange smile appeared on his face. Coming. The strong night demons have already stepped into the scope of Dajin's spiritual realm. He is on Changsheng Road Square. Looking at Wu Chu's image, he knew that the other party had joined the Night Demon clan. And the other party is so confident. He just knew it. It must be the real strongman of the Night Demon clan who is looking for him. And now, seeing the group of night demons who stepped into the Dajin spiritual realm, it didn't surprise him at all. 1 Yuan Wu Tianjin, 3 kings of 9 transformations, 5 kings of 8 transformations. A total of 9 night goblins, any of them. It's much stronger than the strongest night demon clan sleeping in Zishan back then. Li Yu's eyes flashed. Is it the first wave of the 6th hostile force? He has found out. The hostile forces designed by this survival system. Every time there are waves of door-to-door visits. Ruling 21 Daozong, if he hadn't directly leveled the opponent with a shot, he might be divided into 5 or 6 waves of people, come here. Another example is the night demons in Zishan. If he doesn't, it must come out in waves. And now this lair of the night demons is the same. He didn't know that this was the characteristic of these great forces. Or because of the survival system. But there is no doubt. It gave them some chances for the ancestors of the Traversers to survive. If every hostile force, they all went straight out. Then estimate, except for him, few of the other ancestors of the Traversers survived. It is precisely because of hostile forces one by one, wave after wave of door to door. Only the ancestors of the Traversers can get a lot of resources from it, so that the cultivation base of their children can advance by leaps and bounds. Call. He moved, disappeared directly in place. Elder, this newborn spirit domain, spirit power is pretty good. A group of 9 night demons flew in the air, and the purple divine feathers spread out gently behind them. Someone looked down and said, their bodies are extremely slender. The purple hair is flying all over the head, and the eyes are also light purple. Handsome looks, matched with a purple robe. It has quite a mysterious aura. If you walk in the city of mortals, I'm afraid they will be worshipped as gods by some mortals. Spirit power is more abundant in the spiritual domain that was born for breaking. The leader of the Night Demon clan old man spoke. His voice was very flat, and his face was expressionless. For him, this is just a mission. Although back then, their Night Demon clan was almost exterminated by that astonishing human race powerhouse. But now 10,000 years have passed. After such a long time to recuperate, they have gradually recovered. At this time, they have once again become the night demons who looked down on a large area back then. So he is here, not just to deal with the little human race who dared to kill his night demon clansmen. It is also to wake up most of the clansmen and take them to the ancestral land. It is not easy for them to reproduce. Any clansman is very important. Elder, why don't you wait here for a while, and I'll kill the master of the spirit realm. A mere master of the spiritual domain, how can he have the qualifications for the elder to come in person? After a while, another night demon suddenly spoke, with respect in his voice. He is also the king of 9 changes. In this spiritual realm. Compared with the elder of Yuan Wu Tianjin realm, the strength will not be much different. Hearing the words, the night demon elder pondered for a while, and was about to nod his head. Sudden, he paused and looked to the ground ahead. I don't know when there was already an extra woman wearing a long black dress, with a peerless appearance and a peaceful expression. The woman stood quietly on the ground. It's as if it is integrated with the whole earth. It seems that she is this endless land. This endless land is her. And in their south, there is also a figure appearing. That figure was red all over, holding 2 fire snakes in its hands, one golden red and one dark red. The 2 fiery snakes twisted, emitting an extremely terrifying scorching breath. North, there is also a figure stepping on the waves, with a cold face. East, a man in a green robe stood quietly on top of a towering ancient tree with his hands behind his back. The west, there are thousands of long swords sweeping into the river, mighty and mighty. On the long sword river, stood a white-robed man with a cold face and a killing intent. 5 figures, indistinctly, it seems to be connected together. This shocked the night demon elder's heart, and his complexion suddenly became serious. These 5 people, strong, the momentum has almost reached the level of the King of 9 Changes. And the breath on his body is very different. Gold, wood, water, fire, earth. He whispered, his eyes alert. Beside him, the remaining 8 night demons also had vigilant eyes. And above a white cloud in the distance, Li Yu stood quietly with her hands behind her back. Look at this battlefield. His whole body was completely twisted. Even the dignified Yuan Wu Tianjin, elder of the Night Demon clan, did not discover his existence. Ryaosho, Juming, Gonggong, Zhurong, Haotu. These 5 ancestral witches represent the ultimate 5 elements. Although there are only 987 people with 12 gold medals, they are also extremely powerful. Every cultivation base belongs to the King of the Second Change. He also has supernatural power, and his strength has already surpassed Yuan Wu Tianjin. Even if you don't use supernatural power, you are still comparable to the King of 9 Transformations. He whispered to himself, with a satisfied smile on his lips. Start with more than 7,000 points of Dajin luck. 12 gold people reached the realm of kings. More than 8,000 points. He directly became the King of the Second Transformation. And this battle, he wanted to try it. This is the strongest method under his command. How strong is it? Can you tear apart that Yuan Wu Tianjin level Night Demon clan? Who are you? The Night Demon elder spoke with a mighty voice. He stared closely at the woman on the ground in front of him. With his eyes, it can still be seen. The opponent should be the core. Haotu didn't reply. Her expression was calm and natural. Gently raise your hand. The next moment, a khaki-yellow divine light rushed out from the ground, instantly covering the night demons. Rumble. The void is trembling. Just like that divine light, it is a sacred mountain with hundreds of peaks. Terrible repressive force. It instantly acts on all night demon clansmen. 80%. Chapter 238. Ancestral witches form an array to suppress and kill all enemies. Third change. This divine light is not Yuan magnetic divine light. It's just a mountain aura condensed by the post-Tujin people controlling the earth. This is not supernatural power. It is a technique. But even if it's just magic, but in the hands of Haotu who controls the earth, it is still enough to explode with shocking power. The divine light has not fallen yet. The ground under the feet of the night demons has been crazily sunken downwards. What a powerful spell. Night Demon Elder was surprised. But he also has no fear. Who is he? He is Yuan Wu Tianjin. And not the most common Yuan Wu Tianjin. It has been more than 40 years since he was promoted to Yuan Wu realm. The martial Dao seed in the body has also gone through 3 transformations. He is the Tianjin of Yuan Wu third stage. Even if it is also the cultivation base that is suppressed to the limit of the King of 9 Changes by the laws of the spiritual realm. But the strength is far stronger than the limit of the normal 9 Change King. Cultivation base is the same. But the growth rate of martial Dao is different. Moreover, their night demons are physically powerful, comparable to the spirit bodies of humans. The strength is naturally much more terrifying than the human race's 9 Change King limit. Without hesitation, a simple metal spear appeared out of nowhere in his hand. There are a large number of purple patterns on the spear. Exudes an astonishing power. This is his Tianjin weapon. Although it is only a low-grade Tianjin weapon. But it is also far more than any king rank weapon. Broken. He gave a soft drink. Purple hair flying, eyes like lightning, a spear pierced out. Boom. The air exploded, and a sky-reaching spear light shot straight into the sky, directly blocking the yellow divine light, and then shattered. but the terrifying power contained in the divine light. It also made his body shake, and he was secretly shocked. Before he could speak again, the Zhu Rongjin man in the south gave a grin and stomped his feet suddenly. Immediately, a pillar of divine fire rushed out from the ground, covering everyone in the Night Demon clan. The scorching breath instantly distorted the surrounding air completely. North. Gong Gong snorted coldly. His eyes were wide-eyed, and he stretched out his left hand a little towards the air. Rumble, lightning and thunder continued, and torrential rain poured down. Every drop of rain, they all seemed to carry the strength of a mountain. Drops of rain fell, causing the 5-8 transformation king-level night demons who were resisting the pillar of divine fire to be in a panic. His face was even pale, and his body was burned by divine fire in many places, and there were places where his skin burst from the rain. Fuji comes. Dongfang Juming put his hands behind his back. With a flat face, he shouted softly. A green divine light spread out of his eyes. Immediately, a large number of vines grew out of the ground, extending crazily towards the night demons. Each vine is full of toughness, entwining around the hands and feet of the night demons. Wan Jian, Shishiru received sharp eyes, like a sword. He waved his right hand. Immediately, the direction of the mighty river of long swords under his feet turned, sweeping directly towards the night demons. The air is pierced by a large piece, whistling and piercing. Then the soil was not idle. She still shot out a mountain of light, suppressing everyone in the Night Demon clan. The tacit understanding of 5 people's cooperation. Li Yu, who was watching the battle from a distance, was a little amazed. Back soil repression, sentence restrictions. Zhu Rong, Gong Gong, and Liao received the main attack. And the attacks of the 3 also have their own focus. Zhu Rong fire. Gong Gong rain hit. Ru received the sword and stabbed. No matter what kind of enemy. With such a lineup on the opposite side, even if they don't die, they will lose their skin. Even most of, they will all be killed immediately. If Di Zhang is allowed to join in, there will be more space power. Then the attack of the 5 people will become elusive, and it will be even more terrifying. A satisfied smile appeared on the corner of Li Yu's mouth. In the past, it was because the back soil did not come out. So he didn't even have the chance to see the power of the formation of 12 golden men. Plus equals. There are 3 cores, 5 elements, time, rain and lightning. Only any one of the 3 cores is complete, in order to form the basic formation. And the rest of the Jin people can also join in at any time to enhance the power and means of formation. I don't know when all the 12 golden men are born. How strong should their formation be? He whispered to himself. In the myths and legends of the previous life, the 12 ancestral witches can form the 12 capitals of the gods and demons. Gather the invincible Pengu true body. Certainly. The 12 golden men in his hand. It was only formed by the exotic treasure of the higher world. Naturally, it is impossible to compare with the 12 ancestor witches in myths and legends. But even if it has a bit of legendary power, that was horrific too. Boom boom boom. The earth shook wildly, and several surrounding mountains collapsed. Towering ancient trees exploded, boulders splashed, and were turned into powder by the terrifying chains that swept out one after another. Suddenly there was a scream. A night demon was directly pierced by dozens of long swords and flew out. Blood spilled, eyes widened, death will not rest in peace. Immediately afterwards, another night demon screamed and was burned into coke. Then another night demon was smashed out of the flesh by drops of rain. There was also a night demon whose limbs were wrapped in vines, and he was pulled hard. Directly torn apart, blood spilled into the sky. Damn it! The Nightcrawler elder roared. The ancient spear in his hand kept sweeping, and the spears were dazzling. Sweep a long sword into nothingness. Tear apart the vines. Smash a drop of rainwater. Annihilate the pillars of divine fire. But he was also a little embarrassed. There were many burns on his body, and his skin was cut by a long sword, bloody. Surrounded by 5 golden men, he can only take care of himself. There is no extra power at all, because it protects the people around it. There was another scream. A night demon could no longer resist, was crushed by divine fire, cracked by rain, pierced by a long sword and died. The whole body was torn apart, Dezhao, and his eyes were full of fear and unwillingness. The night demons of the 5-8 change kings of realm. Just for a moment, they are all dead, although they are only realm of 8 change kings. But in fact, he is comparable to the king of 9 transformations without a spirit body in the human race. Put it in any spiritual domain. They are all existences standing at the pinnacle. It is enough to look down on the heroes and look down on the common people. But just stepped into the great spirit realm. I haven't even seen the target of this trip, and I don't know the name of the enemy. He was beheaded here. Ah, the night demon elder roared again. His eyes were bloodshot, with madness. Damn you all. Kill my people, and I will destroy this entire spiritual realm. How many? I will take out all the souls of your relatives and torture 100 year. Night blame. Ask the Supreme Elder to come down. Help the younger generation suppress the powerful enemy. 80%. Chapter 239 Divine Transformation Venerable comes, 5 Elements Divine Light. First update. God descended. Li Yu's eyes brightened slightly. Is this asking for the divine mind of a night demon from the God transformation realm? He had some expectations in his heart. Last time, the divine transformation venerable at the back of the sun-chasing sect came down to the divine sense. He got a lot out of it. That piece of divine thought. It is a treasure that can improve any practitioner's cultivation base under the God transformation realm. He's sure, if a divine transformation venerable dares to come to a certain spiritual realm in person, the news spread again. It will definitely attract a large number of Yuan Wu Tianjin and nascent soul Tianjin's crazy siege. After all, in the spiritual realm, they will all be suppressed at the limit level of the 9 change kings by the laws of the spiritual domain. Even the divine transformation venerable is still much stronger. But it is no longer that insurmountable moat. If we say that under divine transformation, it is still common, then divine transformation and above are already gods. This is totally 2 levels. The gap is huge. Therefore, the divine sense of divine transformation venerable is an amazing treasure for the existence under the God transformation realm. Same. That's why, in the Bailing area, with divine transformation and venerable sect, the regiment can be called orthodoxy. The lifespan of nascent soul Tianjin is 1,500 years. But as long as divine transformation, then the lifespan is doubled immediately, reaching 3,000 years. 190,000 year, what a long time. One dynasty has been operating for dozens of generations, and it looks like 3,000 years. Just like the Lengyu dynasty at the beginning, it was Guizhou for more than 3,000 years. Even in some mortal domains, it doesn't take 3,000 years to build a civilization from scratch and then become powerful. Although the lifespan of divine power venerable is not as good as divine transformation venerable, but it is also double the 500 years of Yuan Wu Tianjin. Reach 1,000 years. Strong strength and long life. This is the main reason why divine transformation venerable and divine power venerable can suppress one orthodoxy. The divine sense of hope can be more. Li Yu whispered to herself. Maybe this time, then you can get the merits that allow everyone in the family to advance from the 9 cycles divine palace realm to the 7 soul realm. Boom. Following the voice of the night demon elder, it fell. In the dark, as if some terrifying existence had been sensed, his eyes focused on it. Infinity High Place. Li Yu squinted her eyes. That place. It seems that a pair of indifferent eyes appeared faintly, looking down. Boom. A beam of light piercing the sky suddenly descended. Directly enveloped a night demon clan 9 transformation king. Immediately, a look of pain and ecstasy appeared on the face of the 9 transformations king of the night demon clan. The momentum of the whole body soared instantly. His long purple hair flew up, and a terrifying purple divine light burst out from his eyes. A cold, ruthless temperament appeared, watching the 5 attacks sweeping from all directions. With a blank expression on his face, he pointed. Immediately, the 1,000-long sword vibrated and exploded directly. The endless rain freezes and vanishes into thin air. The divine fire in the sky stagnated, and the lower layer was extinguished in a blink of an eye. The coming vines withered. The suppressed mountain force above his head exploded. Attack of Haotu et al. Just for a moment, it was disintegrated by him. Yi Xiao, meet the Supreme Elder. Night Demon Elder Night Owl bowed deeply to this man in ecstasy. Venerable of God Transformation Realm 1. But it is far from being comparable to Yuan Wu Tianjin like him. They night goblins. There are many nascent soul in Yuan Wu Tianjin. But divine transformation and venerable can be counted on one hand. Any divine transformation, divine power venerable. They are the strongest background of their night demon clan. It is the foundation for them to survive, reproduce, and become strong in this vast world. Without the blessing of divine transformation and venerable, this comes 10,000 years. Their night demon clan has long been trampled down by other forces, or the human race. The night demon clansman put his hands behind his back, looked at the how to 5 people lightly and raised his eyebrows and said, humanoid exotic treasure. Humanoid exotic treasure. Taishang Elder, you mean they are all humanoid exotic treasures? Yi Xiao said in astonishment, his face full of shock. This makes CBAF the 5 people who are in a state of embarrassment. It's not a strong human race, but a humanoid exotic treasure. He naturally knows the Taoist-shaped exotic treasure. This is an extremely precious and powerful exotic treasure. Normal exotic treasure. Deu will produce a batch every 1,000 year. Of course it's just an ordinary exotic treasure. May 1st 10,000 year. There is no exotic treasure in the doll world. Their night demons are one of the top 3 groups in the sulfur flame territory. There is no exotic treasure in the humanoid world. This exotic treasure. Great value. More than 100 times more exotic treasure than other types of the same level. You block them. I'm going to capture the person behind the scenes. The elder said lightly. His gaze swept across Houtu and the other 5 people before looking into the distance. There. Exactly where Li Yu is. Although Li Yu distorted everything around her. But the means of divine transformation venerable or incredible. Even wearing a cultivation base was suppressed by the spiritual domain to the 9th stage true monarch, 9 changes king limit. But the strength is still terrifying. Far beyond the 9th stage true monarch. Certainly. This is just a ray of divine sense from the divine transformation venerable descending, controlling the body of a 9 transformation king. Naturally, they are far inferior to the strength of their real bodies. But it is also much stronger than Yuan Wu Tianjin like Yi Xiao. Behind the scenes, Yi Xiao was awe-inspiring. Take control of these 5 terrifying humanoid exotic treasures. The strength of the person behind. One can imagine. He felt a little rejoiced. Fortunately, I made a prompt decision. Please let the Supreme Elder descend, or wait for the people behind the scenes to do it. I'm afraid I have to explain it here. Elder's body shook. It has disappeared in place. Houtu's eyes flashed, and he just wanted to stop him. However, Li Yu's order came, they only need to kill the remaining night demons. So she didn't use supernatural power to stop the opponent. With her strength, if you cast supernatural power, naturally, it is completely possible to stop the divine transformation venerable's ray of divine sense. Not to mention, she also formed formations with Zhu Rong, Gong Gong and others. The strength is even more earth-shattering. There is no problem in suppressing the divine transformation venerable's ray of divine sense. But the Lord has ordered. They naturally have everything they can do. Kill them. She spoke softly. Her voice was also very quiet, and she contained everything like the earth. As her voice fell, the power of the formation is fully activated. Boom. The 5 divine lights soared into the sky and were suddenly connected together. Then it turned into a 5-color divine light, and fell straight towards the night demon elder Yi Xiao and others. The divine light has not fallen yet. The entire land has completely sunken and collapsed. The terrifying power even caused the bodies of the remaining 2 9 transformations kings to crack, their faces full of horror. 80%. Chapter 241 Punch explodes divine transformation. Second more. This is 5 elements divine light. It is a kind of terrorist attack that can be mobilized after the 5 Houtu people form a large formation. This divine light contains the power of the 5 elements. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth are endless. There is me and you and me. Mutual increase, and finally will reach a kind of shocking power. Why did it suddenly become so much stronger? Night Demon Elder Night Owl's complexion changed drastically. Watching this 5-color divine light fall, his scalp was numb, as if he was about to explode. Horrible. Too strong. He has a feeling. If you let this divine light fall, you will be seriously injured if you don't die. But at this time, too bad the elder has left. Gritting his teeth, he took out an ancient talisman from his pocket. This is a treasure he got from an immortal cave of an ancient cultivator. The ancient cultivator is a divine transformation venerable. Although he just drank some soup with the strong in the clan. But also got several amazing treasures. The green demon rune in front of me is one of them. With a look of heartache on his face, he activated the blue demon rune in his hand. Immediately, a surge of cyan divine light surged forth, mighty. Directly overwhelm him with the 2 9 transformation king level night demons next to him. There are a large number of tiny spiritual scripts flashing on this blue divine light. Every spiritual text, all contain a special power. Thousands of spiritual texts gathered together. constructed into a big spiritual text. That spiritual script. It is royal. Defend. And in the cyan light, there is also a phantom of a cyan ancient demon appearing, raising its hand to block the divine light of 5 elements falling from the sky. Boom. An earth-shattering collision erupted. The 5 elements divine light and the cyan divine light annihilated each other crazily. In divine light, Yi Xiao's face turned pale. The 2-9 transformation kings on his body were even more bloodless, looking at this terrifying scene in horror. Such an attack. If there is no elder to block it with their strength, I'm afraid it will be torn apart in an instant. Horrible. Boom, boom, boom. The divine light was raging, and earth-shattering explosions sounded from time to time at the place where they collided. And on the other side, with her hands behind her back, Li Yu looked at the night demon slowly walking out in front of her. There is nothing surprising about the appearance of this night demon. But that temperament was too outstanding. It seems to have surpassed the mortal world and stood beyond the clouds. All creatures in the world are as small as ants in their eyes. Aloof, like a god in the dust. No, this is God Linchin. The venerable of the god transformation realm is already a god. Spiritual thoughts are divided into thousands, and you can gain power from beliefs and enhance your cultivation base. It can also devour the vows of the incense and fire of all living beings, because it greatly improves the actual experience. This is not a god. What are deities? Divine transformation, divine transformation. To become a god, you are good. The elder of the night demon race suddenly spoke, looking down at Li Yu indifferently. I can give you a chance to kneel down and surrender, and let you transform into a member of my night demon clan. With the strength of my night demon clan, you also have a hope of being promoted to the realm of divine power in the future. His voice is very calm. It seems to be stating an undeniable thing. Transform into a night demon. A slight smile appeared on Li Yu's face. I'm actually a key distributor. Are you worthy? Elder shook his head. I don't need such a thing as a key, I don't deserve it. But the words just fell. He reflected the meaning of the other party's words. His complexion suddenly became colder, and a murderous intent suddenly appeared in his eyes. Make fun of him. How many years? From his promotion to divine transformation. No one dared to tease him anymore. Oh, you don't deserve it. Actually, I'm still a fortune teller. Tell me, what are you? Li Yu still had a slight smile on her face, and her voice was not loud. He was dressed in a white robe. Standing on the top of the mountain, it seems that there is a sense of immortality. You lost your chance to live, the elder said coldly. He raised his hand slightly. Immediately, dark clouds filled the sky. A series of purple thunderbolts fell towards Li Yu in an instant. The thunder was in pieces, as if it was going to turn the whole world into a sea of thunder in purgatory. Terrible force of destruction swept across, asking for flowers. The mountain at the foot of Li Yu. In just a moment of contact, it turned into fly ash and dissipated. Although this is just a ray of spiritual possession. But it still showed a bit of the power of divine transformation venerable. Same cultivation base. The strength that divine transformation venerable can display is naturally far more terrifying. A mere foreign race, dare to come to me to be presumptuous. In the future, I, Li Yu, will come to your great domain and kill all your night demons. What the strong human race failed to do back then, I, Li Yu, will definitely do it. The smile on Li Yu's face also subsided. There was a cold look in his eyes. Also stretch out the right hand. Immediately, huge palms appeared above his head. Fish up. 0.0. The thunder and the majestic dark clouds. It was caught in the palm of the hand in an instant, and disappeared in smoke. Elder Yi Qingtian's complexion finally changed slightly. This strike is simple though. But it's also almost close to a blow from nascent soul Tianjin. But was destroyed so easily by the other party. He poked with both hands. Thousands of thunderbolts emerged from behind, condensing into thousands of thunder spears. The thunder spear was sharp, piercing towards Li Yu suddenly. At the same time, a palm-sized stone spear shining with thunder appeared in the air. The stone spear is densely covered with spiritual inscriptions. Lingwen spun wildly. The whole stone spear exuded earth-shattering power, stabbing directly at Li Yu. This is his divine transformation magic treasures. Certainly not the magic treasure's body. It was just a combination of a breath and the energy in his body. But also a hint of the power of real magic treasures. It's all useless, Li Yu said lightly. There was a hint of domineering in his eyes, his black hair was flying up, and his eyes were shining. stepping directly towards Yi Qingtian. Lightly wave your left hand. The sky-filled thunder spears instantly collapsed. Right hand flicks. The stone spear full of spiritual texts also exploded directly. Another punch instantly broke all the protection around Yi Qingtian, and turned his body into blood mist. A phantom appeared. That is the divine sense of divine transformation, Venerable Yi Qingtian. At this moment, she was dumbfounded, looking at Li Yuei in disbelief and disbelief. At Li Yuei in disbelief and disbelief. At Li Yuei in